Hello there, and welcome to Scroll to Sleep. If you've been scrolling all day and just need a moment to wind down, you're in the right place. We're here with some more stories from Reddit to help you drift off. If you enjoy relaxing to these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Now, dim your screen, get comfortable, and let's get straight to tonight's stories.
Story 1.
I'm pretty sure my dog Lou is made of 90% Velcro and 10% pure uncut anxiety. When I found him, he was a matted whisper of a thing, all ribs and terrified eyes abandoned in a parking lot. It took 6 months before he'd let me touch him without flinching. 2 years later, he's my shadow, a caramel-colored mutt, so permanently attached to my leg it's a wonder we haven't legally fused. He's sweet. Incredibly so. His biggest crime is loving too hard. If I go to the bathroom, he's a furry doormat waiting outside. If I get up for a glass of water, he's a silent escort. Leaving the apartment, that's his apocalypse. His separation anxiety isn't just whining, it's a full-blown panic attack spiral. So I don't leave him. My life is built around this dog. It sounds like a sacrifice, but it isn't. He saved me as much as I saved him. My brother Mark gets it. His wife Chloe, not so much. They came over for dinner 2 weeks ago. It was the usual chaos. Chloe talks with her entire body, all flailing arms and sharp sudden movements that make Lou nervous. He tucked himself under the dining table, a safe little cave where he could press against my ankles. Everything was fine until Chloe shot up from her chair. Oh, I almost forgot the wine I brought. She spun around, a whirlwind of floral perfume and kinetic energy, and stepped backward without looking. Right onto Lou's tail. The sound that came out of him was a gut-wrenching yelp of pure pain. It wasn't a growl, not a bark, just a high-pitched scream. He scrambled out from under the table, scrabbling on the hardwood, and bolted behind the sofa, trembling. "Oh my God!" Chloe shrieked, clutching her chest. "Did he try to bite me?" I was already on the floor trying to coax Lou out. "No, Chloe. You stepped on his tail. He's scared." "He was so aggressive," she said, her voice shaky. Mark was already by her side, rubbing her arm. "He just lunged." "He didn't lunge," I said, my voice tight. I finally got a hand on Lou's shivering body. "He ran away. You heard him." Chloe didn't seem to hear me. She just kept staring at the space where Lou had been, her eyes wide. The mood for the rest of the night was shot. She treated the corner of the sofa like it was a live bomb, and Lou didn't come out until long after they left. I didn't think much of it after that. Chloe has a flair for the dramatic. But then Mark called yesterday. "Hey sis, so you got the invite right." His voice was buzzing with excitement. His 40th was a huge deal, and they were planning a massive backyard barbecue. All our friends, all our family, the whole 9 yards. Yep, just RSVP'd online. I'm so excited. I even found that ridiculously expensive whiskey you love. Awesome, can't wait. Hey, so, one thing. The energy in his voice dipped. About the party. Chloe, well, she'd really prefer it if you didn't bring Lou. I froze, phone pressed to my ear. What? Why you guys love Lou? I know I do. But after what happened the other night, he trailed off. Mark, she stepped on him. He cried and hid. He didn't do anything wrong. I could hear the defensiveness creeping into my tone, and I hated it. Look, I know, you know that. But she's just spooked. She says he's too aggressive and unpredictable to have around all those people and her friends' kids. Aggressive. The word hit me like a slap. Lou, who was frightened of falling leaves and once got cornered by a particularly brave squirrel. Aggressive. That's insane, and you know it, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. Just for the party. Okay, it's my 40th. I just want it to be smooth. No drama. I took a deep breath, trying to see it from his side. trying and failing. Okay, Mark. But I have a problem. You know I can't leave him alone. And everyone I'd trust to watch him, Mom, Dad, Jen, Mike, they're all going to be at your party. Can't you just get a sitter from one of those apps? For a dog with trauma and crippling separation anxiety, to leave him with a complete stranger? Absolutely not. That would be cruel. It would set him back months. He sighed. It was a long, weary sound that told me I was being filed under problem. I want to be there, Mark. I really do. So let's figure this out. I switched into solution mode, refusing to let this derail his birthday. Compromise number 1. What if I bring him and he stays on his leash right by my side the entire time? I'll park him on a blanket in a quiet corner of the yard. He won't bother anyone. A pause. I could hear Chloe's faint, sharp voice in the background. No, Mark said, his voice flat. She's not comfortable with him being in the yard. Okay. I thought for a second, pacing my small living room. Lou's head followed me, his brown eyes full of concern. New plan. Mom's car has that fancy feature where you can leave the AC on. What if Mom and I come together, we take turns. One of us is at the party, the other is walking Lou around the neighborhood or sitting with him in the car. He's never alone and he never even sets a paw on your property. We just swap every hour. Another muffled conversation, more waiting. I felt my stomach twisting into a knot. She doesn't want him in the neighborhood, Mark said, sounding apologetic but firm. She's worried he'll get loose and... I don't know. Get loose, Mark. He's attached to me by an invisible bungee cord. He wouldn't run if his life depended on it. The frustration was starting to boil over. This is ridiculous. She's treating him like he's Cujo. Just... please. Don't make this a thing. I'm not. I'm trying to solve it. I took another steadying breath. Okay, final offer. The nuclear option. I can't stay, but I want to see you on your birthday. What if I drive over, leave Lou in my car for literally 10 minutes max while I run in, give you your gift, give you a hug, and then I leave? I'll park at the end of the driveway. She won't even know he's there. This was it. The most reasonable, accommodating offer I could possibly make. It was barely even attending, just a glorified drive-by to show my face and love for my brother on his milestone birthday. The silence on the other end of the line stretched for a full minute. I heard the distinct sound of Mark's front door sliding open and then closing. He must have stepped outside. She saw you pull up last time, he said, his voice low and strained as if he was ashamed of the words coming out of his mouth. She said she doesn't want the dog on the property. Not in the house, not in the yard, not in a car, in the driveway, not even parked on the curb outside. I stopped pacing. The whole world just stopped. I stared at Lou, who had rested his head on my foot, sensing my distress. He looked up at me, his tail giving a weak, uncertain thump-thump against the floor. All my proposed solutions, all my attempts to bend over backward to appease a completely irrational fear were rejected. Not just rejected, but stomped on. They didn't just not want my dog at the party. They didn't want him to exist within a 100-foot radius of their home. They were making me choose. My brother's 40th birthday, a once-in-a-lifetime family event, or my dog. My anxious, loving, traumatized dog who depended on me for everything. And honestly, it wasn't a choice at all. Mark, I said, my voice eerily calm. I need to call you back. I hung up before he could reply. I sank onto the floor and wrapped my arms around Lou, burying my face in his soft fur. He licked the tears off my cheek. There was only one possible answer here. They had created this situation, and there was only one way it could end. My thumb hovered over Mark's name in my contact list. I had to tell him. I had to just say the words. I texted Mark. 2 simple sentences. * me hey. Since none of my solutions worked for you guys, I won't be able to make it tonight. Have a happy 40th. Asterisk. I put my phone on the coffee table face down. I didn't want to see the 3 dots of him typing. I wanted to pretend it was over. Lou nudged his head under my hand, demanding scratches. I obliged, focusing on the rhythm of it, trying to breathe. My phone buzzed. Once. A second time. Then it didn't stop a furious, vibrating tantrum on the wood. It wasn't Mark. I knew with a sinking certainty who it was. I flipped it over. 5 missed calls from Chloe. 7 new text messages. Asterisk. Chloe. Are you kidding me? Asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe, you are really not coming. Over a DOG asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe Mark is crushed. I hope you're happy. Asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe, you are the most selfish person I have ever met. Asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe, he's your brother Luna. This is his 40th birthday. You only get one of those. Asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe. It's not about the dog, it's about you needing to be the center of attention. You can't stand one day not being about you and your stupid rescue project. Asterisk. Asterisk. Chloe. You are an idiot of a sister. Have a nice night alone with your aggressive animal. Asterisk. My blood ran cold. Asterisk. Luna. Asterisk. She'd used my name like a weapon. Asterisk. Stupid rescue project. Aggressive animal. Asterisk. Each word was a carefully chosen dart. I felt the hot, prickling shame she wanted me to feel. For a second, it worked. My stomach churned. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe I was ruining his birthday. Then I looked down at Lou. He was sleeping now, his head in my lap, one paw twitching as he dreamed. He looked so peaceful, so safe. He trusted me. He was my responsibility, not a project. And he wasn't aggressive. He was a victim of whatever horrors had happened before I found him, and now a victim of Chloe's baseless hysteria. My anger, cold and sharp, burned through the shame. I picked up the phone. My thumbs moved with a calm I didn't feel. Asterisk. Me. I offered 3 different compromises so I could be there for Mark. You rejected all of them. This was your choice, not mine. Please don't contact me again tonight. Asterisk. I blocked her number. Then for good measure, I blocked her on every social media platform I could think of. A digital amputation. It felt clean. My phone rang again almost immediately. It was Mom. I knew this call was coming. Honey, her voice was strained. Mark just told me you're not coming. I can't, Mom. They won't let Lou on the property. Or in the car. Or on the street. She sighed. I could hear the party music in the background, a faint thumping bass line. Oh, sweetie. Chloe is... She's telling everyone you refused to come because you weren't allowed to let Lou run free. Of course she was. Spinning the narrative, painting me as the unreasonable one. That's a lie. And you know it. I know, she said quietly. I know. It's just... It's Mark's big day. Your brother is walking around like a thundercloud. He's trying to pretend he's having a good time, but he's just... sad. The guilt tried to claw its way back up my throat, but I swallowed it down. Mark is a grown man who let his wife tell his sister she couldn't even park on their street to drop off a gift. He made his choice. I made mine. "I'll save you a piece of cake," she said, her voice soft with resignation. "Thanks, Mom. I love you." "I love you too." After I hung up, the silence in my apartment felt heavy. The party was in full swing 3 towns over. My entire family, all my friends were there, laughing, eating cake, celebrating my brother, and I was here, on my couch, with my dog. I should have felt miserable. I should have been crying. Instead, I got up, grabbed Lou's leash, and clipped it to his collar. His tail started thumping, a frantic rhythm against the floor. "Come on, buddy," I said, my voice hoarse. "Let's go for a walk." We went to the big empty park by the river. I let him off the leash and he zoomed around a blur of caramel-colored fur against the deepening twilight. He chased a moth, pounced on a leaf, then came sprinting back to me every 30 seconds just to check in to make sure I was still there. Watching him free and happy, I knew I'd made the right call. It was a lonely, painful kind of right, but it was right. This small, anxious creature depended on me to be his advocate, his safe place. I wouldn't break that trust. Not for a party. Not for anyone. The next morning, I woke up with a new kind of clarity. The hurt was still there, a dull ache behind my ribs, but the anger had cooled and hardened into something else, resolve. I made a pot of coffee, sat down at my laptop, and opened a browser window. I found the website for the city's largest no-kill animal shelter, the one that specializes in rehabilitating severely abused and neglected dogs. I clicked the donate button. In the field for the donation amount, I typed in the exact price of that ridiculously expensive bottle of whiskey I'd bought for Mark. Under dedication, I paused. Then I began to type. Asterisk. This donation has been made in honor of Mark's 40th birthday. Asterisk. I kept going. Asterisk. From his sister Luna and her sweet, gentle, and deeply loved rescue dog Lou. May this help another aggressive animal find a home that understands patience, practices compassion, and knows that family never asks you to abandon one of your own. Asterisk. I screenshotted the confirmation page. The digital certificate with their names, and my dedication printed in a cheerful, elegant font. Then I opened the family group chat. It had been silent all morning, a dead space of social awkwardness. I uploaded the screenshot. No caption. No explanation. Just the image. I hit send. Then I put my phone down, picked up Lou's favorite squeaky toy, and tossed it across the room. He pounced on it with a happy yip, his tail wagging furiously. The silence from my family was absolute. And in that quiet, for the first time in days, I felt completely and utterly at peace.
Story 2.
The little blue pill didn't work. Neither did the little yellow one. For the last 2 years, my primary function as a husband had become a clinical experiment, a series of failures measured in silent, awkward moments in the dark. 27 years of marriage, and I couldn't remember the last time my wife Sarah looked at me with anything other than disappointment or pity. "I made your favorite," I said, setting a plate of chicken parmesan in front of her. Glass of wine. She didn't look up from her phone. "I'm not hungry." "You have to eat something, honey." "Don't call me honey." She finally looked at me, her eyes flat. "And I'm fine. I had a late lunch with the ladies from the charity board." Of course. The charity board. Sarah was a pillar of the community. The woman who organized the bake sales and the silent auctions. Her Facebook page was a meticulously curated gallery of her good deeds, always smiling, always surrounded by grateful people. Lately, though, her posts had changed. The pictures were different. Tighter blouses, a lower angle, a deliberate pout I hadn't seen since we were dating in college. The comment section, once a wasteland of God bless you, Sarah, from other church ladies, was now peppered with little flame emojis from strangers. One guy in particular was relentless, Mark. Every photo, every post, he was the first to comment. Asterisk, looking incredible Sarah times on a picture of her holding a basket of muffins. Asterisk. That smile could light up a room times on a selfie in her car. Who's this Mark guy? I asked one night, scrolling through her feed over her shoulder. She snatched the phone away. Just someone from an old neighborhood group. Don't be weird, Mason. I dropped it. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that the coldness in our bed was the only problem. So I tried harder. I took over the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry. I'd rub her feet while she watched her shows, hoping to coax a flicker of the old affection. Most nights, she'd just pull her feet away after a few minutes. That's enough. You're tickling me. The criticism became a daily routine. My shirt was wrinkled. I loaded the dishwasher wrong. I breathed too loudly while I slept. I felt like a ghost in my own home, a walking, talking failure she was forced to endure. Every jab was a reminder of the one thing I couldn't give her, the one problem I couldn't fix. The pressure was suffocating. It all boiled over on a Tuesday. I had come home early, bought flowers. I just wanted to talk, to try and bridge the chasm that had opened between us. I found her in the living room, dressed to go out. Where are you going? I asked, holding the pathetic bouquet of roses. Dinner, she said, checking her reflection in the hall mirror. With Susan. Oh. I thought maybe we could... She spun around her face, a mask of fury. You thought times what times, Mason. What did you think we were going to do? Sit here and hold hands, play a board game. What is the point of you? The words hit me like a physical blow. The point of me, I'm your husband. A husband is supposed to be a partner. In times, all times, things, she spat. You have no idea what it's like to feel desired, to feel like a woman. Do you? All you do is mope around this house reminding me of what I don't have. What times we times don't have? That's not fair, I stammered, my chest tight. It's a medical issue. We've been to doctors. I'm trying everything. Trying isn't times doing times, she yelled. I'm tired of trying. I'm 48 years old and my life is devoid of passion, of intimacy. And it is entirely your fault. She blamed me. For everything. The years of shared history, the 2 kids we raised, the home we built, it all evaporated in that moment, reduced to my one biological failing. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. The glass shattered. It was a photo from our 25th anniversary, the last time I remembered us both smiling at the same time. For the next few days, we lived in a state of Cold War. We slept in the same bed, but stayed on our respective edges of the mattress, a 6-inch space between us feeling like a mile-wide canyon. We spoke only when necessary, short, functional sentences about bills and groceries. The silence was thick with resentment. Her resentment. My shame. On Saturday night, we sat on the couch pretending to watch a movie. The tension was unbearable. Sarah was scrolling on her phone as usual, a faint, unreadable smile on her face. I was just staring at the screen, not registering a single scene. My stomach was in knots. I felt broken, completely and utterly at fault for the wreckage of my marriage. Maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I never would be again. She must have dozed off. Her head lolled to the side and the phone slipped from her hand, landing screen up on the cushion between us. And then it lit up. A blue and white banner flashed across the top of the screen. A Facebook Messenger notification. The name was Mark. My heart stopped. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't look away. There under his name was the preview of the message. 2 sentences that burned themselves into my brain. miss you, thinking about you. The world went silent. The sound from the television, the hum of the refrigerator, my own breathing, it all just vanished. There was only the white light of the screen and the black letters that sliced right through me. My hand shaking, reached out and picked up the phone. It felt heavy like a weapon. I nudged her shoulder, not gently. Sarah. Her eyes fluttered open. What? I held the phone in front of her face. The screen was still lit up, with his name, his words. Who is Mark? She blinked sleep, giving way to a flicker of panic. What are you doing with my phone? He's just an old friend. From the neighborhood group. Old friends miss you. There are times thinking about you. Times at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, the words came out low and tight. You're twisting it, she said, snatching the phone from my hand. His wife just left him. He's lonely. I'm being a good person, Mason. Something you wouldn't understand. Show me the messages, I said. No. It's my privacy. Privacy, I laughed a harsh, ugly sound. We've been married for 27 years. You've been crying about a lack of intimacy while you're getting late-night texts from another man. Show me the phone, Sarah. You have no right, she shrieked, jumping off the couch and clutching the phone to her chest like it was a Bible. That's when I finally broke. I have every right. I have been killing myself trying to hold this together. I cook for you. I clean for you. I rub your damn feet while you ignore me. I've seen a dozen doctors and swallowed every pill they've thrown at me, all while you stood there tapping your foot with a look of disgust on your face. And this whole time you've been doing this. The dam of her lies started to crack. It's not what you think. We just talk. About what? Things I can't talk to you about. Try me. The confession came out in pieces, each one a separate twisting knife. It started with, we've been talking for a few months. Then it became, he understands me. Under the force of my interrogation, that became, we talked about what it would be like to be together. Sexually, I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked at the floor, refusing to meet my eyes. He said things that made me feel wanted. The breath left my body. It was real. All the little signs, the selfies, the distance, it wasn't just in my head. I was living in a lie. I need some air, she said, grabbing her purse. I'm going to Susan's. I can't be here right now. She ran out the front door, slamming it behind her. I stood there in the deafening silence, the ghost of her perfume and her lies hanging in the air. My eyes fell to the coffee table. Her phone. In her panicked escape, she'd left it. My heart hammered against my ribs. I picked it up, my thumb hovering over the call log. I knew what I would find, but I had to see it. I had to be sure. I opened the log. The last outgoing call, placed less than a minute ago, wasn't to Susan. It was to Mark. The front door opened again. It was Sarah, her face pale. I forgot She saw the phone in my hand, saw the look on my face, and she knew. The fight that followed lasted until the sun came up. There were no more half-truths left to hide behind. Fueled by rage and the adrenaline of betrayal, I pushed and pushed until the final ugly piece of the story fell into place. You were going to sleep with him, weren't you? I finally asked as the first gray light of dawn filtered through the blinds. She slumped against the wall, utterly defeated. We made a plan, she admitted, her voice hollow. Next week. While you were on your fishing trip. My fishing trip. The one she had encouraged me to go on. Get away, she'd said. You deserve a break. I looked at this woman, this stranger I'd spent more than half my life with. There was only one question left. Is this marriage over? She just stared at me, her eyes empty. She didn't say yes. but she didn't say no. And that was the only answer I needed. The next few weeks were a blur of physical pain. A constant crushing weight sat on my chest. I couldn't eat. Sleep was a series of hour-long nightmares. The house felt huge and hostile. Every room held a memory that was now tainted, a ghost of a life that had been a fraud. I was completely, utterly alone. My pillar of the community wife had an army of friends. I had her. One night, drowning in whiskey and self-pity, I did something I'd never done before. I went on Reddit, found a forum for people who had been cheated on, and I wrote everything down. The ED, her criticism, the phone, the all-night confession. I just vomited my entire story into the void, a desperate, anonymous scream. The next morning, among the dozens of comments of support, there was a private message. It was from a woman named Anna. Her message was simple. Asterisk. I read your post. My story is almost identical, right down to the community pillar part. It feels like the end of the world right now, but I promise you it isn't. Asterisk. We started messaging. First just trading war stories. Then talking about our days. She was a librarian, funny, and sharp and kind. For the first time in years, I was talking to someone without a filter of judgment or expectation. After a month of text, we met for coffee. I heard myself laugh. I had forgotten the sound. 3 years later, I'm standing in my kitchen chopping vegetables. It's a smaller kitchen in a smaller house, but it's mine. Anna comes up behind me and wraps her arms around my waist, resting her chin on my shoulder. Smells good, she murmurs. Need any help? I've got it under control, I say, turning my head to kiss her. It's easy. It's all so easy with her. The old problem, the one that had defined me as a failure for so long, barely registers anymore. The first time we were together, my old anxieties flared up. I started to apologize, to explain. She just put her hand on my cheek, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Hey, look at me. There is no pressure here. You're safe with me." And just like that, the monster in my head went quiet. She didn't fix me. She just gave me a safe place to heal myself. I filed for divorce the week after Sarah's confession. It was brutal. Her affair with Mark imploded spectacularly about a month later. He had no interest in a divorced, financially dependent woman. He had just been in it for the thrill of poaching the charity queen. Our 2 adult kids, after hearing both sides, saw her manipulation for what it was and sided with me. They still speak to her, but it strained a duty rather than a desire. Last I heard, she was renting a small apartment across town, struggling to make ends meet. Her carefully curated Facebook life crumbled. The pillar of the community was just another woman who blew up her family for a cheap thrill that didn't last. I don't hate her anymore. I don't feel anything for her at all. I blocked her number, blocked her on social media, and cut every tie. My life is full. I have my kids, I have my health, and I have a woman who loves me for who I am, not for what I can or can't do in a bedroom. I didn't get revenge. I just got better. And I've learned that living a happy life is the one kind of revenge that they can never take away from you.
Story 3.
The moment the agent handed me the keys, I swear I could feel the weight of them in my soul. They weren't just brass and steel. They were 5 years of scrimping, of saying no to vacations, of my wife Chloe working ungodly hours at the firm. They were the keys to our villa. Our honest-to-God, sun-drenched terracotta-tiled villa with a lemon grove out back. Chloe and I just stood in the empty living room for a solid 10 minutes listening to the silence. The sunlight cut across the hardwood floors, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like tiny golden sprites. It was perfect. It was ours. "We have to have everyone over," Chloe said, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. She wrapped her arms around my waist from behind her chin on my shoulder. A housewarming. God, no, I laughed. Not yet. I want to enjoy the new house smell before it's replaced by the smell of spilt beer and my brother's questionable life choices. Chloe squeezed me. Okay, not a party. But we should show it to your family. I know how excited Bella is to see it. My heart warmed at the mention of my niece. Bella, at 7, was a little artist. She was quiet, thoughtful, and saw the world in shades of wonder. She'd sit for hours with a sketch pad, drawing the patterns in a leaf or the way light hit a glass of water. She was an old soul in a tiny body, and I adored her. Then there was her brother, Michael. My nephew, at 9 years old, was less of a boy and more of a localized natural disaster. A tornado in cargo shorts. The last time he was at our old apartment, an apartment we were renting, thank God, he decided my antique silk Persian rug would make a fantastic canvas for Chloe's brightest red nail polish. My brother Alex had laughed it off. He's just expressing himself. Dottie boys will be boys. I stared at the Rorschach test of OPI's Big Apple Red permanently etched into a rug that cost more than my first car and thought times, if this is boys being boys, then boys should be kept in a hermetically sealed room until they're 25. Asterix. That was just the most expensive incident. There were others. So many others. A phone flushed down the toilet to see if it could swim. A hand-painted ceramic lamp from our honeymoon in Positano accidentally knocked over during an impromptu indoor soccer match. A permanent marker mural on the back of our white leather sofa. We could invite just Bella, I said, quietly testing the words out. Chloe turned me around to face her, her expression serious. Do you think Alex would go for that? Why wouldn't he? I said, already knowing the answer. We'll just say it's a special Auntie Dottie and Auntie Chloe day with her. A girl's day. Okay, she said, though. Her eyes told me she was bracing for impact. Let's try it. I can't have Michael here, Dottie. Not yet. I would have a nervous breakdown watching him. I nodded, feeling a knot of dread tighten in my stomach. I know. Me too. I called Alex that afternoon, the phone feeling slick in my hand. He picked up on the second ring, loud and boisterous as always. Dottie, how's the new homeowner swimming in your money bin yet? Ha ha, I said dryly. It's amazing, Alex. You have to see it. Actually, that's why I'm calling. Chloe and I were hoping we could steal Bella for a few hours on Saturday. We want to give her the grand tour, maybe bake some cookies in the new kitchen. A beat of silence. It wasn't long, but it was heavy. And Michael, he asked, his voice suddenly flat. Here we go. Oh, we just thought it'd be a fun girls' day thing for Bella, I said, trying to sound breezy. You know, a special treat just for her. A special treat, he repeated, devoid of any warmth. Why does Bella get a special treat and Michael doesn't? It's not like that I stammered my plan, unraveling. We'll have Michael over another time, of course. No, he cut me off. That's not how it works, Dorothy. They're a package deal. You want to see my kids? You see both of them. So, you can either invite both of them on Saturday, or you can invite neither of them. It's up to you. The line went quiet. He was waiting. Daring me. I could feel the blood rushing in my ears. This beautiful, perfect thing Chloe and I had built, and he was using his destructive son as a gatekeeper. I have to call you back, I said, and hung up before he could reply. I walked back into the living room where Chloe was measuring a wall for a bookcase. He said both or neither. She didn't even look up from the tape measure. Then it's neither. Her decisiveness was a relief. It was exactly what I was feeling, but I was afraid to say it out loud. Afraid of the inevitable family drama. Chloe had no such qualms. She was fiercely protective of our life, our home. You're okay with that? I asked. She finally looked at me, her eyes firm. Dorothy, we spent years saving for this place. We are not going to feel terrorized in our own home. Michael is not welcome here until he learns not to destroy everything he touches. and Alex is not allowed to bully you. End of story. I took a deep breath, steeling myself, and called him back. Decided to be a good sister, Alex answered, skipping the hello. Actually, I've decided that this Saturday isn't going to work out after all, I said, my voice as level as I could make it. We'll have to postpone. The explosion was immediate. Are you kidding me? He roared, his voice distorting through the speaker. You're actually uninviting both of them. You're going to punish Bella because you have some weird issue with my son. This isn't a punishment, Alex. We just can't host both of them right now, and you're the one who said it was all or nothing. Because you're playing favorites. It's disgusting. It's always been this way. Oh, sweet little Bella, let's have a tea party. But Michael... Oh, he's too much. He's too loud. You know what this is. This is some sick gender-based bullshit. You and your wife, you just don't like boys. You dote on the quiet little girl and toss the boy aside because he has energy. That is absolutely not true, I shot back, my voice rising. This has nothing to do with him being a boy, and everything to do with... Save it, he snarled. I'm not stupid, Dorothy. I see how you are. You always have been. You exclude him constantly. You think you're better than us now with your fancy villa and your uptight wife. You look down on my son, on my family. It's despicable. He hung up. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the dead air. The beautiful silent house suddenly felt cold. His words echoed in the empty rooms. Asterisk. Sick, gender-based bullshit. Despicable. Asterisk. The injustice of it burned in my chest like acid. He was twisting it, weaponizing it, making me into some kind of monster. All to avoid one simple truth. I stood there, my hand still holding the phone to my ear. A useless plastic brick. The silence in the house wasn't peaceful anymore. It was accusatory. Chloe walked over and gently took the phone from my hand, placing it on the raw pine floor. What did he say? She asked softly. That I'm a despicable, gender-biased monster who's being turned into an uptight snob by my wife, I said the words. Tasting like ash. My whole body was buzzing with a furious energy. He didn't get to do that. He didn't get to rewrite history and paint me as the villain just to protect his own ego. Before Chloe could respond, my phone buzzed on the floor. A text from Alex. Asterisk, asterisk, Alex, don't ever ask to see my kids again. You've made it clear how you feel about my son. Asterisk, asterisk. My fingers trembled as I typed back, fury overriding any sense of caution. Asterisk, asterisk me. My feelings have nothing to do with him being a boy and everything to do with his behavior. Asterisk, asterisk. The 3 dots appeared instantly. Asterisk, asterisk, Alex, oh please. You can't name one single thing he's actually done that was so bad. It's all in your head. You just want a perfect little doll like Bella to play with. Asterisk, asterisk. One single thing. The audacity of it choked me. After all the calls, the tense conversations, the flimsy apologies he'd offered on Michael's behalf over the years, he was pretending total amnesia. Okay, I said out loud to the empty room, to Chloe, to the universe. Okay, he wants proof, he'll get proof. I stalked over to the corner where my laptop sat on a cardboard box, flipped it open and started a new spreadsheet. Chloe came and stood behind me, her hand resting on my shoulder. Dottie, what are you doing? He dared me, I said, my fingers flying across the keyboard. He asked for a single thing. I'm going to give him a goddamn itemized receipt for his son's entire childhood. It took me an hour. An hour of digging through old credit card statements, searching for online receipts, and estimating the value of things that were irreplaceable. Every line item was a fresh stab of anger. Asterisk, asterisk. I, Tim Hashone, antique silk Persian carpet living room, old apartment, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, damage, asterisk, asterisk. willful and extensive application of Big Apple Red OPI nail polish. Asterisk, asterisk, status. Asterisk, asterisk. Professionally cleaned twice. Stain permanent. Rug ruined. Asterisk, asterisk, estimated. Cost $2.100, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, item #2, hand-painted ceramic lamp, honeymoon souvenir, Positano, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, damage, asterisk, asterisk, smashed during indoor soccer game with a decorative pillow. Status. Irreparably. Asterisk, asterisk. Estimated cost $350. Sentimental value incalculable, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk. Asterisk item #3 iPhone 8 guest bathroom asterisk 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 damage asterisk asterisk flush down the toilet to see if it could swim. Asterisk asterisk status asterisk asterisk destroyed. Water logged. Asterisk asterisk estimated cost $450. Asterisk asterisk. I kept going. The permanent marker on the white leather sofa, the collection of vintage teacups my grandmother's chipped one by one because Michael thought they were boring rocks. The passenger side mirror he'd kicked off Chloe's car because he was angry he had to leave. By the time I was done, the list had 17 items on it. The final tally at the bottom made my stomach clench. Asterisk, asterisk, total estimated damages, $4,785, asterisk, asterisk. Are you really going to send this? Chloe asked, her voice hushed. He asked for it. I repeated, my voice hard. I attached the spreadsheet to a new email. I left the subject line blank, and in the body I wrote a single sentence. Asterisk. You asked me to name one thing. Asterisk. Then I hit send. The call came less than 2 minutes later. I answered it and put it on speaker. Are you out of your mind? Alex screamed. No preamble, no hello. The sound was so distorted with rage it barely sounded like him. You asked for proof, Alex. There it is. Proof. This isn't proof. This is a list of lies and exaggerations. A bill. You're sending me a bill for my son being a kid. What kind of arrogant, materialistic psycho are you? It's not a bill. It's an answer to your question, I said, my calm voice making him even angrier. You pretended you had no idea what I was talking about. Now you know. A $2,000 rug. Who even buys that? This is Chloe, isn't it? This is all her. She's the one who buys all this fragile, expensive crap and then gets pissed when a normal 9-year-old boy with energy touches it. She's turned you into some uptight rich kid who values things over family. Don't you dare bring Chloe into this, I snapped, the last of my composure cracking. And don't you dare call your son's destructive rampage normal energy. Normal kids don't flush phones down the toilet, Alex. Normal kids don't kick mirrors off cars. You 7 boys break things. It's what they do. You're supposed to understand that. You're his aunt, but you'd rather keep score on a spreadsheet like some kind of soulless accountant. You care more about your precious honeymoon lamp than your own nephew. That lamp was from the one real vacation Chloe and I have ever taken, I shouted back, finally on my feet, pacing the echoing room. A vacation we took after 5 years of saving, the same savings that bought this house you're so mad about. Yes, I care about it. I care about all of it because it's mine. I earned it and I don't want it destroyed. Then you know what? Enjoy your things, he spat, his voice dropping into a low, venomous hiss. I hope you and Chloe are very happy here alone with all your perfect, breakable, expensive shit. Because that's all you're going to have. Don't call me again. Don't text me. Don't ask about Bella. We're done. The line went dead. I slowly lowered the phone. The house was silent again, but this time it was different. It was a heavy, suffocating silence. The sunlight still streamed through the windows, the dust motes still danced like tiny sprites, but the magic was gone. We had won. Our beautiful home was safe from the tornado. But in the process of proving I was right, I had demolished a part of my own family. I stared at the spreadsheet still glowing on my laptop screen, a tally of everything I had lost twice over, and wondered if it was worth the price.
Story 4.
It was supposed to be temporary. 6 months max. That was the lie my husband Mark and I told ourselves when we packed our life into cardboard boxes and moved into his childhood bedroom. His company had restructured, which was a polite way of saying his entire department was gone. Our savings evaporated faster than water in the desert. Moving in with his parents felt less like a choice and more like our only remaining move on a chessboard where we were already in checkmate. His mother Carol was all smiles and hugs when we arrived. "Welcome home, you two. My house is your house." She fussed over Mark, pinching his cheeks like he was still 12. To me, she offered a brittle, tight-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm so glad we can be here for you," she said, her voice dripping with a sweetness so fake it could give you a cavity. The welcome home phase lasted about 48 hours. The shift was subtle at first. It was in the way she'd watched me load the dishwasher, only to reload it the correct way the second I left the room. It was the comments whispered just loud enough for me to hear. Some people just don't know how to keep a clean house. Mark would be in the garage with his dad, and her whole demeanor would change. The mask would drop. "I made lasagna for dinner," she announced one afternoon, her voice bright. "Oh, that's great, Carol. Can I help with anything?" I asked, genuinely trying to pull my weight. She waved a dismissive hand. No. You just relax. I know you're not much of a cook." It was 1,000 tiny paper cuts, each one stinging more than the last. She told her friends on the phone that I was lazy, that I slept all day while her poor son was out looking for work. She told Mark's aunt that I was a gold digger furious that he'd lost his high-paying job. The problem was, I never heard her say these things directly. They were delivered to me secondhand like little poison-tipped arrows by the only ally I had in that house, Mark's 16-year-old sister, Chloe. She'd slip into our room late at night, her face pale under the dim light of the hallway. "You need to know what she said today," she'd whisper, perched on the edge of our bed. "She told Grandma you were the reason Mark lost his job. That you were too much of a distraction." I'd just nod, a familiar cold knot tightening in my stomach. Every word was another brick in the wall being built around me. I started staying in our room, the floral print wallpaper from 1992 closing in on me. I'd cry in the shower so Mark couldn't hear the hot water washing away nothing. I was losing weight. Dark circles formed under my eyes. I felt like a ghost haunting someone else's home. Mark saw it, of course. "What's wrong, babe? You seem so down." How could I explain it? Your mom hates me. She's telling everyone I'm a terrible person. It sounded childish, paranoid. He'd try to defend her. My mom, no, she loves you. She's just old-fashioned. Stressed out. He didn't see the snake. He only saw his mother. The lies got more vicious. I wasn't just lazy. I was secretly spending all their money on clothes. I hadn't bought anything new in a year. I wasn't just a bad cook. I was ungrateful for the food she provided. Chloe told me Carol had started calling me the princess because I supposedly expected everyone to wait on me hand and foot. I was sinking. The constant, insidious psychological warfare was breaking me down piece by piece. The woman was a master of plausible deniability. To my face, it was all passive-aggressive sighs and backhanded compliments. Behind my back, she was methodically destroying my reputation and my sanity. The breaking point came when Mark's dad, a quiet man who usually stayed out of it, cornered him in the garage. "Your mother's worried," he said, not meeting Mark's eyes. "She says Stephanie has been drinking." Found a bottle of vodka in the trash. I don't drink vodka. I barely drink at all. There was a lie so blatant, so malicious that it finally shattered Mark's denial. He came upstairs, his face ashen. He didn't even have to ask me. He knew. "That's it," he said, his voice a low growl. We're talking to her. Right now. We found Carol in the living room watching her favorite game show, a serene smile on her face. She looked up as we came in, her expression instantly shifting to one of mild concern. Is everything all right, dears? No, Mom, it's not, Mark started, his voice shaking with a rage I'd never seen before. Why did you tell Dad that Stephanie was drinking? Her face crumpled. It was a performance worthy of an Oscar. Her eyes welled with tears, her lower lip trembled. What? Oh, Mark, no. I would never... I was just worried. I found an empty bottle, and I didn't know what to think. There was no bottle, Carol, I said, my voice flat. Just stop. Why are you doing this? Mark pleaded. The things you've been saying, Chloe told us. The second he said Chloe's name, the air in the room changed. The tears vanished. The mask didn't just slip. She ripped it off and set it on fire. Her face hardened into something cold and reptilian. The grief-stricken mother was gone, replaced by a predator that had just identified its true target. She rose slowly from her chair, her eyes boring into Mark's. She didn't even look at me. My existence had become irrelevant. Chloe, she said, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Of course. I should have known. She turned on her heel, her movements sharp and full of purpose. She's the one who's been poisoning this family, the little liar. She twists everything I say, turning you against me. She's always been the problem. Mark and I just stood there, stunned into silence as she stormed past us and down the hall toward Chloe's bedroom. We heard her slam the door open, her voice already rising into a shrill shriek. You did this. A wave of ice-cold dread washed over me. We hadn't fixed anything. We had just aimed a loaded weapon at the only innocent person in the house and pulled the trigger. The sounds from down the hall were muffled at first, a storm of accusations and denials. Then we heard Chloe's voice cracking with fear cry out, "No, stop!" Then a sickening thud. And a scream. Mark was a step ahead of me, his body a battering ram against Chloe's door. It flew open to reveal Carol standing over her daughter, who was curled on the floor clutching her head. A red mark was already blooming on her cheek. Get away from her, Mark snarled, a sound so guttural it barely sounded human. He pushed past his mother, shielding Chloe with his own body. Carol's face was a mask of righteous fury. She's a liar. She's trying to tear this family apart. That's when the front door opened and my brother-in-law Kevin walked in. At 30, he still lived at home, the undisputed king of his parents' little castle. He had dead eyes and the same smug smirk Carol wore when she was about to land a killing blow. We all knew about the neighborhood cats that had disappeared when he was a teenager. It was the family's great unspoken secret. What the hell is all the yelling about? He drawled, dropping his keys on the counter. Nothing, baby. Carol cooed, her entire demeanor shifting in an instant. The princess is just having one of her little fits. She gestured toward me. I saw red. Your baby just hit your daughter. Kevin's eyes narrowed. He sauntered down the hall toward us. You talking to my mom. Everyone just needs to calm down, Mark's dad said, finally emerging from the living room, a useless placating gesture. Chloe from behind Mark's legs looked at her brother and mumbled, Just shut up, Kevin. You weren't even here. It happened so fast. 1 second Kevin was smirking, the next he was moving. He didn't go for Chloe. He shoved me hard against the wall, my head cracking against the drywall. And then he pulled a handgun from the waistband of his jeans. He didn't point it at me. He pointed at Chloe. What did you say to me? He hissed, his voice dropping low and lethal. The air solidified. No one breathed. Mark moved with impossible slowness, raising his hands. Kevin. Put it down, man. Put the gun down. Kevin's gaze flickered between Mark and Chloe, his knuckles white on the grip. My heart was a jackhammer against my ribs. This was it. This was how it ended, in a hallway that smelled like dust and old secrets because a 16-year-old girl told her monster of a brother to shut up. Then from the doorway, Mark's dad spoke, his voice shaking but firm. "Stephanie, this is what happens when you come in here and provoke people." The world tilted. He wasn't looking at the son with the gun. He was looking at me. Mark stared at his father, his face a canvas of disbelief and horror. That was the moment we knew. They would let Kevin kill us all, and then they would tell the police we had it coming. I don't remember much about the next few days. We lived in a state of suspended terror. Chloe went to her weekly therapy appointment and did the one thing she could do. She told the truth. The Department of Human Resources showed up 2 days later. 2 tired-looking women in sensible shoes asking to speak to Chloe. Alone. Carol tried to refuse, fluttering about how it was all a misunderstanding, but they had a court order. They took Chloe into her room and shut the door. That's when the house finally exploded. Kevin came barreling out of his own room, his face purple with rage. "You did this," he screamed, his eyes locking on Chloe's closed door. "That little bitch is going to pay." He charged the door. Mark tackled him, a blur of motion and desperation. They crashed into the wall, a shower of plaster falling around them. Carol was screaming, a high-pitched wail of, "Not my baby, leave my son alone." I ran to Chloe's door, yelling for her to lock it to stay inside. Kevin was thrashing all wiry strength and pure hatred. He got an arm free and clocked Mark in the jaw. "I'm going to kill you," Kevin shrieked, his voice cracking. "I will kill all of you." Chloe's door flew open. She was holding her desk lamp like a weapon, her face terrified but resolute. Kevin saw her, and his eyes lit up with a terrifying glee. He shoved Mark off him and lunged for her. He never made it. I grabbed the first thing I could find, a heavy glass vase from the hall table, and brought it down on his shoulder. He roared in pain and staggered back. It bought Mark the second he needed. He got Kevin in a chokehold, wrestling him to the floor just as the sirens began to wail outside. The DHR workers had called the police. 2 officers subdued a struggling, screaming Kevin, while another took our statements. Carol was clinging to the arm of the arresting officer, sobbing about her sick little boy and how I, the evil interloper, had driven him to this. "He assaulted your daughter, ma'am," the officer said, his voice flat. Carol didn't miss a beat. She provokes him. She knows how sensitive he is. Mark looked at his mother, the last shred of filial loyalty dying in his eyes. He walked over to the other officer. "We want to press charges for the assault on my wife, my sister, and myself." That night we packed. We took Chloe with us. We stuffed trash bags with clothes and essentials, moving like soldiers escaping a war zone. Carol stood in the doorway, her face a stone mask of hatred. She didn't say goodbye. She just watched us go. We drove to my parents' house, 3 refugees huddled in a minivan, the silence thick with everything that had happened. Chloe cried quietly in the back seat for the entire 2-hour drive. The fallout was swift and brutal. The story that Carol and her husband spun was a masterpiece of victimhood. Mark and I were the aggressors. I was a manipulative gold digger who had turned their son against them and kidnapped their troubled daughter. Kevin was the real victim, a sensitive boy pushed too far. The extended family believed them. Friends they'd known for decades sent us messages dripping with poison. The community chose their side. I stopped sleeping. Every creak of the floorboards at my parents' house sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. I'd wake up gasping for air, the image of Kevin's dead eyes and the glint of the gun barrel burned into my memory. My hair started falling out in clumps. Mark found me a therapist. I sat on her couch and told her everything, the words spilling out of me in a torrent of shame and fear and rage. She diagnosed me with severe PTSD. We have a restraining order against Kevin and Carol. We went completely no contact. Chloe is enrolled in a new school and is slowly, tentatively starting to heal. Mark found a new job, not as good as the old one, but it's a start. We're living in my aunt's basement, saving every penny. Sometimes late at night, I pull out my phone and look at the video I took. The one of Kevin screaming death threats as Mark holds him down, his face contorted in a mask of pure evil. The police have it as evidence. I keep it as a reminder. A reminder that we survived. A reminder that we will never, ever go back. Our revenge isn't loud or violent. It's quiet. It's the sound of us locking the door at night, knowing we're finally safe. It's the future we are building one brick at a time, far from the rubble of his family.
Story 5.
My mom lives in a different reality than the rest of us. In her world, she has 3 children. Me, Violet, the one who actually came out of her, and then there are Lucas and Chloe, my half-siblings. They're the ghosts at our dinner table. She married my dad 20 years ago, inheriting his 2 kids from a marriage that went down in a spectacular ball of fire. Lucas was 10 and Chloe was 8. They already had a mom, a perfectly good one, who to this day still sends me birthday cards with a crisp $20 bill inside. But my mom decided she was going to be their times real times mom. The one who counted. It's been a 2-decade-long campaign of rejection she refuses to acknowledge. Lucas and Chloe hate her. I don't mean they're politely distant. I mean they times hate times her. They look at her with a kind of polite, bored disgust that's more cutting than any shouting match. When Lucas got married 5 years ago, my mom wasn't invited. She showed up anyway, dressed in a pale blue dress she called Mother of the Groom Blue. She stood outside the church holding a gift until my dad finally convinced her to get back in the car. She cried the whole way home, not because she was embarrassed, but because she couldn't understand why her firstborn son would shut her out. When Chloe had her first baby 2 years ago, Mom spent $1,000 on a ridiculously ornate crib and a mountain of baby clothes. She had it all delivered to Chloe's house. 2 days later, a truck showed up at our curb. The crib was in pieces, splintered, and smashed. The baby clothes were shredded and stuffed into trash bags. All of it dumped on our lawn like garbage. I was the one who helped Dad clean it up. Mom just watched from the window, her hand over her mouth whispering, "She's just hormonal." She doesn't mean it. She always has an excuse. They're confused. They're hurting. Their mother has poisoned them against her. It's never, ever that they simply don't want her. Watching her live with that constant self-inflicted pain is like scraping my own skin with a cheese grater. So this year, for Mother's Day, I decided to build her a fortress. A day so full of love from the child who was actually hers that she wouldn't have a spare second to think about the 2 who weren't. I found her in the garden, snipping away at her rose bushes. "Mom," I started, my voice overly bright. "About Mother's Day. I've got it all planned." She turned a smudge of dirt on her cheek. "Oh, sweetie, that's nice, but we don't have to do anything big." "We do," I insisted. "It's happening. I've made reservations. Non-refundable ones. A small lie, but a necessary one. Brunch at the Gilded Sparrow at 10. Then we have appointments for massages and facials at 2. And for dinner, I'm making your favorite lasagna from scratch. The whole day. Just you and me." I watched her face searching for the flicker of calculation. The one where she wonders if there's a window of time to make a desperate phone call that won't be answered. The whole day, she asked, her smile a little tight. "The whole day," I said, putting my hands on her shoulders. "Promise me. No phones, no drive-bys, no just checking in on them. Just us. Please." She looked at my hopeful, stupid face, and her expression softened. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like dirt and roses. "Okay, Violet. I promise. It sounds lovely. Just us." I thought I'd won. I really did. I woke up on Mother's Day before the sun, my stomach buzzing with a nervous energy. I crept downstairs. The gifts were arranged perfectly on the coffee table. A bottle of the expensive perfume she was always pointing out at the mall, and underneath it a small lumpy box. Inside was a silver locket I'd spent 2 months of my allowance on. I'd had it engraved times, amor fati asterisk. Love your fate. Inside, I'd put a tiny stupid picture of us from when I was a baby. It was my way of saying, times, this is your fate. I am your fate. And it's a good one, asterisk. I set the table for our at-home pre-brunch just coffee and pastries before the main event. I put out her favorite mug, the one I painted for her in 3rd grade. At 8 a.m., I went to wake her up. Her room was empty. The bed was made perfectly smooth, not a wrinkle in the duvet. Her keys were gone from the hook by the door. Her car was gone from the driveway. A cold stone dropped into my gut. No, I whispered to the empty room. She promised. I grabbed my phone and called her. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I sent a text. Asterisk, Mom, where are you? Brunch is at 10, asterisk. No reply. The clock on the stove ticked over to 9:00, then 9:30. At 9:45, the Gilded Sparrow called to confirm our reservation. I told them we were on our way, my voice, a high-pitched lie. At 1015, they called again to say they'd given our table away. The non-refundable deposit I'd actually put down was gone. I sat on the couch, staring at the wrapped gifts. The hours crawled by. The spa called at 1:30 to see if we were still coming. I hung up on them. The pastries on the table grew stale. My hope curdled, turning thick and bitter in my throat. It soured into a familiar hot rage. Dad got home around 3. The look on his face told me everything. He looked exhausted, like he'd just run a marathon he hadn't trained for. Where is she? I demanded. My voice was flat. Dead. He sighed, sinking into an armchair and rubbing his temples. She left at 5 this morning, Vi. She drove to Lucas's house first. My heart hammered against my ribs. He didn't let her in, did he? Of course he didn't, Dad said, his voice ragged. She had a gift basket. Stood on his porch ringing the bell for 20 minutes until his wife threatened to call the police. So she left the basket and went to Chloe's. I felt sick. And same story. Chloe didn't even open the door. Just yelled through it to get off her property. Said she was trespassing. He looked at me, his eyes full of a pity I didn't want. Your mom... She didn't come home, Violet. After they both kicked her out, she just parked down the street from Chloe's house. She's just been sitting in her car all day, watching their house. The words hit me like fists. She hadn't just forgotten. She had chosen. She'd abandoned a guaranteed day of being loved to sit in a car and beg for scraps of attention from people who despised her. She was chasing ghosts while her real living, breathing daughter was waiting for her. My rage became something sharp and clear. I stood up, my movements jerky. I grabbed the sleek store-bought box containing the perfume. The expensive, easy gift. I left a locket, my lumpy, heartfelt offering, sitting alone on the table. Where are you going? Dad asked. To the mall, I said, yanking on my shoes. I'm returning this. She doesn't deserve it. By the time I got back, the sun was setting, painting the sky in violent streaks of orange and purple. The house was dark and silent. Dad was in his study, the door closed. The lasagna ingredients were still sitting on the kitchen counter, untouched. I sank onto the couch in the living room, the store credit receipt crumpled in my fist. I sat in the dark, replaying every broken promise, every humiliating rejection, every deluded excuse. The hurt was so big it felt like it was going to split me in two. At exactly 8:17 p.m., I heard it. The scrape of a key in the front door lock. The handle turned. The door creaked open, spilling a slice of streetlight into the dark foyer. Her silhouette stood there, tired and slumped. She finally came home, She flicked on the hall light and the sudden glare made me flinch. Her face was a wreck. Her eyes were puffy and red-rimmed, her makeup smeared into gray smudges beneath them. She looked ancient. "Violet, what are you doing, sitting in the dark?" she asked, her voice raspy. She dropped her purse and keys on the console table with a clatter. God, what a day! She started to drift towards the kitchen, towards a glass of water, towards normalcy. I couldn't let her. "Where were you?" My voice was quiet, but it stopped her cold. She turned a fabricated, weary smile plastered on her face. "Oh, sweetie, it was just complicated. Things came up." Things. I stood up, the crumpled store credit receipt still clutched in my hand. Brunch was at 10. Our massages were at 2. I made a lasagna. I gestured to the sad pile of ingredients on the counter. She waved a dismissive hand, the gesture so infuriating it made my vision swim. "I know, I'm so sorry. The day just got away from me. It's no big deal, we can rebook everything." "No big deal." I took a step closer. "I sat here all day calling you, waiting for you. Dad told me where you were. You were sitting in a car stalking Chloe." Her face hardened. The victimhood vanished, replaced by a steely defensiveness. I was not stalking anyone. I was trying to connect with my children on Mother's Day. Is that such a crime? "They're not your children," the words ripped out of my throat, raw and loud in the silent house. "I am. I'm your child, the one who planned a whole day for you. The one who was waiting for you." "Don't be so dramatic, Violet." She sighed, turning away from me again as if the conversation was already boring her. "Look, we'll just do it again next weekend. It'll be even better. We'll invite Lucas and Chloe. We'll make it a real times, family celebration." That was it. That was the line. The casual, delusional cruelty of it broke something inside me. A times, real-time celebration. As if I wasn't enough. As if I was just the understudy. My eyes landed on the small, lumpy box still sitting on the coffee table. The locket. My last stupid piece of hope. "You never planned on coming, did you?" I whispered. The rage had burned out, leaving behind a cold, terrifying clarity. She finally looked at me, really looked at me, and there wasn't a trace of apology in her eyes. Only a strange, chilling honesty. "I had to try, Violet. They're my babies. I will always times have to try for my other children." Asterisk, other children. Asterisk. She said it. She finally admitted that in the contest for her heart, I had already lost to a fantasy. I walked over to the coffee table, my movements slow and deliberate. I picked up the small box. I could feel the weight of the silver locket inside. Asterisk, amor fati. Asterisk, love your fate. What a joke. I turned and walked to the fireplace. Dad hadn't lit a fire, but the logs from last night were still there. A bed of gray ash. I didn't hesitate. I tossed the box onto the logs. It landed with a soft, unsatisfying thud. My mother gasped. "Violet, what are you doing? What was that?" "Your gift," I said, my voice hollow. "The real one." Before she could react, I grabbed the fireplace lighter from the mantel. With a click and a whoosh, a long flame shot out. I held it to the corner of the little gift box. The wrapping paper caught instantly. The paper edges curled, blackened, and then a small, hungry flame licked it into nothing, revealing the velvet box beneath. The velvet began to smolder, a foul chemical smell filling the air. "Stop it, you wicked, wicked girl," she shrieked, rushing towards me, but she was too late. The plastic hinge of the box warped, melted, and sagged open. For a split second, I saw the glint of silver inside before the flames swallowed it whole. Her hand cracked across my face. The sting was sharp, shocking. I stumbled back, my cheek throbbing, my eyes watering. But I didn't cry. How dare you, she seethed, her face twisted with fury. After everything I do, this is the thanks I get. You are a spoiled, selfish little madam. I'm selfish. I laughed, a broken, ugly sound. I'm selfish for wanting my own mother for one day, for not wanting to be the backup plan when the children who hate you kick you out again. You don't get it, she screamed, jabbing a finger at me. You're supposed to share me. The absurdity of the statement hit me with the force of a physical blow. Share her with ghosts? Share her with a delusion? No, I said, my voice shaking but firm. I'm done. I will not be your consolation prize anymore. I looked her dead in the eye, the woman who chose her pain over my love. You go ahead. You keep chasing them. Keep banging on their doors and leaving baskets on their porches. But when you finally realize they are never ever going to love you back, don't you dare come looking for me. Because you're going to end up completely and utterly alone. The door to my dad's study flew open. He stood there, his face dark with anger. He'd heard everything. I looked at him, a desperate, silent plea for him to finally for once see my side. He just shook his head. Violet, that's enough. Go to your room. You will apologize to your mother in the morning. My mother let out a theatrical sob and collapsed into his arms. He held her, stroking her hair, glaring at me over her shoulder. The two of them a united front. Protecting the fantasy. Protecting the wound. I turned without another word and walked up the stairs, the smell of burnt plastic and my mother's perfume following me. I shut my bedroom door, the sound of her muffled crying and my dad's soothing murmurs seeping through the wood. They were furious. I was disrespectful. I was cruel. I was the problem. I sank onto my bed, the sting on my cheek, a dull, constant burn. And for the first time, a cold, sickening thought crept in. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was wrong.
Story 6.
My sister Sarah operates on the principle that if she says something with enough confidence, reality will bend to her will. It's a superpower she's been honing since we were kids, and now with 4 of her own little reality benders in tow, my 2-bedroom apartment felt like it was shrinking by the second. The walls were closing in, vibrating with the chaotic energy of 2 toddlers chasing the cat, a 7-year-old building, a precarious Jenga tower out of my coasters, and Leo. Leo, her eldest, was 12. He was in that awkward phase where his limbs were too long for his body, and he was perpetually trying to be invisible. He was a good kid. A nerdy kid. And he had discovered his happy place was my boyfriend Mark's home office. Specifically, Mark's bookshelves. Aunt Becca Leo shuffled into the kitchen, keeping a wide berth around the whirlwind that was his younger siblings. Is Mark home? No, sweetie, he's on that work trip, remember, back tomorrow. I was wrist-deep in ground beef prepping the massive lasagna that was the only thing I could think of to feed this small army. Oh. Right. His shoulders slumped. Would it be okay if I looked at his comics? My hand stilled. Mark's collection wasn't just a pile of comics. It was a meticulously curated library of graphic novels alphabetized by Rebecca with a special shelf for signed first editions. Leo had spent hours in there on previous visits supervised by Mark, who would carefully select age-appropriate titles for him. They'd talk about artists and story arcs. It was their thing. But Mark wasn't here. And his one rule, the only real rule he had, was that nobody touched the collection without him. Sorry, buddy. Not today, I said as gently as I could. They're Mark's, and his rule is that he has to be here. You know how he is. Leo nodded, disappointed but accepting. He was a good kid. He got it. Sarah, however, did not. She breezed into the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, somehow navigating the domestic minefield without spilling a drop of her LaCroix. She gestured for me to lower the heat on the sauce, which I was already doing. She ended her call with a dramatic sigh and zeroed in on Leo's disappointed face. "What's wrong, sweetie?" she asked. "Aunt Becca says I can't read the comics," he mumbled, staring at his shoes. Sarah's head snapped toward me. Her perfectly sculpted eyebrows knitted together in theatrical confusion. "Why not?" "Because they're Mark's, Sarah. He's not here." She let out a short, sharp laugh. A puff of air that said "Times you can't be serious, asterisk." "Becca, they're just comics. Pictures and words. Let the kid read." "No," I said, turning back to the stove. My voice was flat. Final. "It's Mark's stuff. It's his one rule. The answer is no." "My God," she muttered loud enough for me and Leo to hear. "It's not like he's asking for the keys to the car." "Fine. Leo, come help me find my charger." She swept him out of the room, leaving a trail of condescending silence in her wake. I could feel her judgment radiating through the wall. I was the mean aunt. The uptight, fun-killing aunt who wouldn't let her nephew read a few picture books. She didn't get that it was about respect. Respect for Mark for his clearly stated boundary for his property. To Sarah, boundaries were just suggestions, obstacles to be argued with, worn down, or if all else failed, simply ignored. I tried to shake it off, focusing on the rhythmic task of layering pasta, ricotta, and sauce. Feeding everyone was my mission. Get them fed, get them tired, get them home. I opened the fridge for the mozzarella and my heart sank. Empty. The giant bag I'd bought yesterday was gone. A quick scan revealed the culprit. The 7-year-old was sitting under the dining table, methodically pulling off strings from the last block of cheese and eating them one by one. "Okay," I said to no one. "Okay." I walked into the living room. Sarah was back on her phone, scrolling through Instagram, oblivious to the chaos around her. "Hey, I have to run to the store. Your son, the cheese bandit, ate the entire block of mozzarella for the lasagna." She looked up, annoyed at the interruption. "Can't you just make it without—" "It's lasagna, Sarah. The cheese is not optional." She sighed a long-suffering sound. "Fine. Hurry back. The natives are getting restless." I grabbed my keys and my wallet, then stopped and looked her straight in the eye. "I'm serious about the comics. Leo is not to go in Mark's office." She waved a dismissive hand, not even looking up from her screen. Yeah, I heard you. Go." The store was only 5 minutes away. A 5-minute reprieve. I practically sprinted through the aisles, grabbing the cheese and a bottle of wine. I needed the wine. When I got back, the apartment was quiet. Eerily quiet. The 2 toddlers were asleep on the couch, and the 7-year-old was zoned out in front of the TV. Sarah was exactly where I left her, phone in hand. Something felt wrong. "Where's Leo?" I asked, setting the grocery bag on the counter with a thud. Sarah didn't look up. "He's reading." The air went cold. "Reading what?" "The comics," she said, her tone casual, bored. "He was being so quiet and good, so I told him you changed your mind and it was fine." I saw red. A hot, blinding flash of fury. I just stared at her, speechless. She had waited until I was gone and then deliberately, willfully, not only ignored my boundary but lied to her own son and used me as the scapegoat. "Sarah," I said, my voice dangerously low. "I told you no." "Oh, for God's sake, Rebecca, relax," she scoffed, finally looking at me. Her expression was one of pure annoyance, as if I were the one creating a problem. "What is the big deal? It's not like he's going to break them." "The big deal," I seethed, "is that I said no. They are not mine. You had no right. It's fine. He's fine. Go get him. Now." She rolled her eyes so hard I'm surprised they didn't fall out. "You are being so dramatic." Before she could say another word, a sound split the air from upstairs. It wasn't a yell. It was a scream. A short, sharp, terrified shriek that cut right through the hum of the television. We both froze. Sarah's smug expression vanished, replaced by a flicker of alarm. We stared at each other for a half-second before bolting for the stairs. I took them two at a time, my heart hammering against my ribs, Sarah right behind me. Mark's office door was ajar. I pushed it open to find Leo standing in the middle of the room, pale as a ghost. His hands were trembling. He was holding an open graphic novel, its glossy pages splayed in his grip. Sarah shoved past me, snatching the book from his hands. "Leo, what's wrong?" "What happened?" Her eyes fell to the open page. Her face went slack with shock, then twisted into a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. She looked from the explicit, violently adult illustration to me. "Rebecca," she shrieked, her voice cracking. "What is this? What is this filth doing in your house?" Before I could even form a word, her hands clenched. With a guttural roar of fury, she ripped the book in half. The sickening sound of a spine cracking and thick paper tearing echoed in the sudden terrible silence of the room. I stared at the two halves of the book in her hands. The clean white tear through the thick paper, pages filled with beautiful, brutal art, now just garbage. A wave of ice-cold fury washed over me so potent it left me breathless. "Get out," I said. My voice was quiet. Deadly. "Excuse me," Sarah shrieked, dropping the ruined book on the floor as if it had burned her. She grabbed Leo by the arm, yanking him behind her. "You have this poison in your house, and you're telling me times to get out. My son is traumatized." "Your son is traumatized because his mother is screaming like a lunatic," I shot back, stepping forward and picking up the pieces of Mark's book. It was a signed first edition. My stomach clenched. "You did this. You lied to him, you sent him in here, and you destroyed this. This was your fault. All of it. I'm protecting my child." "You're a child," I yelled, finally losing it. A spoiled, entitled child who can't handle the word no. "Now get your kids and get out of my house. Now." She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing, utterly stunned that I wasn't cowering. Then her face hardened into a familiar mask of righteous indignation. She spun around, dragging a shell-shocked Leo with her. "Fine. I don't want my children in this sick house anyway." I followed her downstairs. The toddlers were now awake, crying from the shouting. The 7-year-old was staring at us with wide, scared eyes. It was a scene of pure chaos entirely of her making. She was a human hurricane, and I was sick of boarding up my windows. She grabbed diaper bags and jackets, shoving little arms into sleeves with frantic, jerky movements. "You're going to pay for that book," I said, my voice flat. Sarah stopped and turned to me, a humorless laugh escaping her lips. "You are delusional. You should be paying for Leo's therapy. You owe me times an apology." She wrenched the front door open, herded her bewildered children out, and slammed it behind her without a backward glance. The sudden silence was deafening. The uncooked lasagna ingredients sat on my counter like props from a play that had ended in tragedy. My phone buzzed in my pocket before I even had a chance to take a full breath. Asterisk, asterisk, Sarah, asterisk, 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 I cannot believe you. I've never been so disgusted in my life. You deliberately exposed my son to that filth, and now you're blaming me, asterisk. Another buzz. Asterisk, asterisk, Sarah. Asterisk, 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 Leo. Is crying. He won't stop crying. I hope you're happy. You traumatized him. Asterisk. Another. Asterisk, asterisk, Sarah. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I'm expecting a phone call with an apology, a real one. Asterisk. I didn't reply. I walked upstairs on unsteady legs back into Mark's office. I knelt and gently placed the two halves of the book together on his desk. The artist's signature was scrawled on the title page, now sliced in two. I pulled out my phone, typed the title, and signed First Edition into a search engine. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just expensive. It was a collector's item worth nearly $800. I sank into Mark's desk chair, the phone slipping from my hand. I felt sick. How was I going to tell him? How could I explain that my sister, a 35-year-old mother of 4, had thrown a tantrum and destroyed something he loved because she couldn't stand being told no? My phone rang, startling me. The screen read MOM. Of course. The cavalry had been called. Rebecca, she began, without even a hello. Her voice was dripping with disappointment. Sarah just called me. She's hysterical. I'm sure she is, I said, my voice hollow. What were you thinking? Having something like that in a house where children visit? Mom, she let him into the room after I specifically told her not to. She lied to Leo and said I gave permission. She destroyed Mark's property. This is not on me. Don't take that tone, she snapped. You know how Sarah is. She feels things very strongly. If you had just explained why times Leo couldn't go in there, none of this would have happened. You were rude and inhospitable. You made her feel foolish for asking, so she reacted. I was speechless. It was the family mantra. Asterisk. You know how Sarah is. Asterisk. It was the all-purpose, excuse the get-out-of-jail-free card for every boundary. She bulldozed every mess she made. And I was always the designated cleanup crew expected to smooth things over, to manage her feelings, to apologize for her behavior. So I'm supposed to child-proof my entire life and my boyfriend's life because my adult sister refuses to respect a simple... No? I asked, my voice rising. She ripped up an $800 book, Mom? Oh, don't be so dramatic about money, she scoffed. Things can be replaced. The damage you've done to your relationship with your sister is another matter. And poor Leo, you need to call her Rebecca. You need to apologize and make this right. Make this right. Something inside me snapped. A wire that had been stretched taut for 30 years finally frayed and broke. I was done. Done being the manager of my sister's emotions. Done being the family shock absorber. You're right, Mom, I said, my voice eerily calm. I'm going to make this right. I hung up the phone before she could reply. My hands moved with a strange detached purpose. I took a clear, well-lit photo of the destroyed graphic novel on Mark's desk. Then I took a screenshot of the collector's website, the $800 price tag circled in red. I opened a new text message. I added Sarah. I added Mom. I attached the 2 photos. I watched the little blue bar crawl across the screen as they sent. Then I started typing. Asterisk. Sarah, you willfully ignored a boundary, lied to your own son, and then destroyed property that did not belong to you. The replacement cost is $800. I've attached my Venmo. You have 24 hours to pay for what you broke. Asterisk. I paused, took a breath, and continued directing the next part to my mother. Asterisk. Mom, you said I should have managed Sarah's expectations. You're right. My expectation was that a grown woman would act like one. I see now that was my mistake. So I will be clearer going forward. My new managed expectation is this. Until I receive $800 and a written apology from Sarah. Not for what Leo saw, but for her lies, her disrespect, and her destruction of property. She and her family are no longer welcome in my home. This is not a negotiation. Asterisk. I hit send. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over their names. Then, with a feeling of profound, terrifying relief, I blocked Sarah's number. Then I blocked Mom's. I walked downstairs, scraped the lasagna I'd been so excited to make into the trash, and opened the bottle of wine. The quiet in my apartment was no longer eerie. It was peaceful. It was the sound of a boundary finally holding.
Story 7.
My phone buzzed on the passenger seat, the screen lighting up with a name I still haven't managed to delete: Sarah. 4 years since the divorce, and the sight of it still ties a cold, hard knot in my gut. I let it go to voicemail. I already knew what she wanted. I was halfway to her house anyway. Another emergency. That was the term she used. Mark, her husband, her times first times husband, and now her times current times husband, had another appointment. Or a bad reaction to treatment. Or he just felt weak. The reasons were always vague, but they always ended with me getting in my car to pick up our son, Tony. Tony is 6. He's the only good thing that came out of my 2-year flashbang of a marriage to Sarah. When I met her, she was a single mom of 2, supposedly escaping a toxic marriage to a guy named Mark. I was the good guy, the stable one. I fell for her, for the kids, for the whole ready-made family thing. We had Tony, life felt real. Then one day it wasn't. She started coming home late, smelling of a cologne that wasn't mine. The usual story. The gut punch twist was who it was, Mark. The toxic ex she'd supposedly left in the dust. She didn't just cheat. She went back. She blew up my life, our son's life, to rebuild her old one. Her own parents, who had adored me, were so disgusted they disowned her. They still call me on Tony's birthday. They don't speak to their own daughter. Now, 4 years later, points, or just shitty luck, came for Mark. Cancer. The bad kind. And suddenly, the guy who broke up my marriage needed his wife by his side 24/7. And I, the guy they betrayed, became the reliable backup plan. For the last few months, I've been playing the part of the bigger man. Of course I can take Tony, I'd say. Just let me know when. I did it for my son. Only for him. He didn't deserve to see his mom stressed, or his world in chaos. My world could handle it. I pulled onto her street. The lawn was overgrown, a plastic tricycle lying on its side like a casualty of war. I could hear the chaos before I even knocked. A baby screaming, the bass-heavy thud of some video game, and a high-pitched MOM that sounded more like an accusation than a request for help. The door flew open before my knuckles hit the wood. Sarah stood there looking like a ghost. Her hair was a mess, dark circles pooled under her eyes, and her shirt had a fresh stain on it that looked suspiciously like baby spit up. Felix. Thank God, she breathed, her voice raw. Behind her, the scene was exactly what I'd heard from the driveway. Her 2 older kids from her marriage to Mark, a boy and a girl on the edge of their teens, were glued to the TV controllers in hand, completely oblivious. On the floor in a bouncy seat, one of the babies, the 2 new ones she'd had since getting back with Mark, was wailing its head off. The other was probably upstairs, adding to the symphony. "Hey," I said, my eyes scanning for my son. "Where's Tony?" "He's in his room." "Getting his bag," she said, wringing her hands. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Felix, you are a lifesaver. I mean it. I don't know what I'd do." "It's fine, Sarah. He's my son. Where do you need to be?" "The hospital. Mark had a bad night. They want to run some more tests." She finally looked at me, and her eyes were brimming with a desperate, pleading exhaustion that almost times made me feel sorry for her. Just then, Tony barreled out of the hallway, a small Spider-Man backpack slung over his shoulder. "Dad." The knot in my gut loosened. I knelt down, and he crashed into me, all 6 years of him smelling like kid shampoo and graham crackers. "Hey buddy, you ready for a guy's night?" "Yeah, can we get pizza?" "Is the sky blue?" I laughed, ruffling his hair. I stood up, holding his small hand in mine, ready to make our escape. "All right, Sarah. Keep me updated. I can keep him through the weekend if you need." Wait, she said, her voice suddenly tight. I stopped my hand on the doorknob. She took a deep breath, like she was about to jump off a cliff. The screaming baby chose that exact moment to ramp up its volume, a piercing shriek that vibrated through the floor. The tweens didn't even flinch. I was wondering, she started, her gaze darting from me to the chaotic living room and back again. You've been so good about all this. About taking Tony. He's my son, I repeated, my tone a little flatter this time. I had a bad feeling about where this was going. A very bad feeling. I know. It's just, you're already here. Your car is right there. I just stared at her, waiting. The air grew thick. Tony squeezed my hand, sensing the shift. The thing is, she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. Mark's mom was supposed to come watch the others, but her car broke down, and my friends aren't answering, and I can't take all 4 of them to the hospital waiting room. It's just not possible. And I really asterisk, need to be there for him. She finally locked eyes with me, a terrifying mix of hope and shame swirling in their depths. So she whispered, her voice cracking, since you're already taking one, I was hoping you could just, She gestured vaguely at the chaos behind her, at the screaming baby, the zoned out tweens at the upstairs where another baby was presumably waiting. Take them all. The question hung in the air, thick and suffocating. A screaming baby, a silent TV, and her impossible request. For a second, I thought I misheard. My brain just couldn't process the sheer, unmitigated audacity. I felt a laugh bubble up in my chest, a raw, incredulous bark of a laugh that I had to choke back down. Tony squeezed my hand again, harder this time. Dad? I looked from Sarah's desperate face to the 2 tweens on the couch who hadn't even registered my presence, and then to the wailing infant in the bouncy seat. All of them. She wanted me to take all of them. No, I said. The word was flat. Cold. A stone dropping into a well. Sarah flinched as if I'd slapped her. What, Felix, please? It's just for a few hours. No, Sarah, I repeated, my voice harder this time. I'm here for Tony. He's my son. He is my responsibility. I gestured with my free hand toward the chaos behind her. They are not. But you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I cut her off the dam of the bigger man persona finally cracking. I understand that times he times is your husband. And those are times his times, children. This is the family you chose. You blew up our family for this one. Her face crumpled. Tears welled in her eyes, the ones that used to work on me every single time. That's not fair. He's sick, Felix. He could be dying. And that's a terrible situation, I said, and I meant it. I wouldn't wish cancer on my worst enemy. But the sympathy ended there. But his illness doesn't magically make his 4 other children my problem. I'm not the backup plan for the life you built after you cheated on me. The words were brutal. I could see them land. She recoiled, her mouth opening and closing with no sound coming out. What about the child support I pay you? I asked, my voice low and dangerous. Tony is with me half the time now. More even. I know for a fact that money isn't all going to his expenses. Use that. Hire a babysitter. That's what it's for. I can't, she wailed, the desperation turning into a pathetic sob. Nobody will help me. My parents won't even take my calls. All my old friends, they sided with you. I have no one, Felix. You're it. You're all I have left. The statement was so profoundly twisted that it almost knocked the wind out of me. I was her last resort. The man whose heart she'd ripped out and stomped on was now the only person she could turn to. The irony was a bitter acid in my throat. I looked down at Tony, who was watching this exchange with wide, confused eyes. This was not for his ears. "That's a problem you created, Sarah," I said, my voice dropping to a near whisper. I pulled Tony closer to my leg. "You need to solve it. We're leaving." I turned the doorknob, pulling my son with me out into the cool evening air. I didn't look back. I buckled Tony into his car seat, the silence in the car a deafening contrast to the circus of misery in that house. As I pulled away from the curb, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Sarah was still standing in the doorway, a lone, pathetic figure swallowed by the shadows of the home she'd chosen over me. For a moment, a wave of something dark and satisfying washed over me. Revenge. It tasted like cold, clean air after 4 years of breathing smoke. But it didn't last. By the time we were on the freeway, the guilt had started to creep in. It began as a dull ache behind my ribs and spread thick and heavy like tar. Tony was chattering away in the back, oblivious. "Can we get pepperoni, Times, and Time sausage, Dad?" "You got it, buddy," I said, my voice sounding hollow to my own ears. I had just left a woman, the mother of my child, in an impossible situation. Her husband has cancer. She's overwhelmed alone and breaking down. And I, the one person who could have helped, had looked her in the eye and said, "Not my problem." What kind of a person does that? A crap person, that's who. A petty, bitter man holding a 4-year-old grudge so tight he'd let it strangle his own decency. The children are innocent in all of this. The tweens, the babies. They didn't ask for any of it. I could have just taken them. It would have been a chaotic night, sure, but I could have handled it. I could have been the bigger man for real this time. But I wasn't. I was the man who said no. We got the pizza, went home, and put on a superhero movie. I wrestled with Tony on the rug, built a Lego tower, and read him 2 bedtime stories. I did all the normal happy dad things, but my mind was a million miles away, stuck in that cluttered doorway. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. The raw, pleading desperation. The utter defeat. When I said no. After Tony was asleep, I sank onto the couch, the silence of my own house pressing in on me. My house was clean. It was quiet. It was peaceful. It was everything her house wasn't. And I felt disgusting for it. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over her name. Should I call her back, tell her I'd made a mistake, that I'd come get the kids? Then the other thought, the cold and calculating one, slithered back in. I thought about the sheer mind-bending audacity of her request when you stripped it down to its core. Asterisk. The guy I cheated on you with is dying. Will you please raise his children for the night? Asterisk. And what happens next? What happens when Mark doesn't get better? He's got the bad kind of cancer, she said, the kind people don't walk away from. If I say yes tonight, what happens in a month? Or a year? Do I become the default dad? The go-to solution every time things get hard? Do I end up raising the 5 children of the man who destroyed my life? Just because I was too guilty to say no the first time. The thought sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't about one night. This was about the rest of my life. I was drawing a line, not just in the sand, but in concrete. I needed a reality check. I needed to know if I was a monster or if I was just a man trying to protect himself. I opened my browser and typed in the address for a website I'd only ever read for entertainment. I clicked Create Post. My fingers flew across the screen, the whole sordid story pouring out of me. The cheating, the divorce, her family disowning her, the cancer tonight's request. I typed it all, every last humiliating detail. I stared at the title for a long time, trying to phrase it right. Finally, I typed, Times, am I the bad guy for refusing to babysit my ex-wife's 4 other kids after she left me for their father? Asterisk. I hit post and watched it go live. Then I leaned back, my heart pounding in my chest, and waited for the internet to tell me what kind of man I really was.
Story 8.
4 years. That's how long it had been. When I met Sophia, I was 24 and she was 31. She was from South America, a whirlwind of energy and ambition with a laugh that could disarm a bomb. I was just a kid. A kid with a decent job, but still coasting on the fumes of university life. I fell for her hard. She was everything I wasn't, worldly decisive, and she knew how to cook more than just toast. A year in, we moved in together. That's when the cracks started to show, and they were all my fault. I'd never lived out of home, not really. My contribution to the household was basically existing. Dishes piled up. The laundry basket overflowed. I was a domestic black hole. Sophia worked a brutal fly-in, fly-out schedule at a mine site 2 weeks on, 1 week off. She'd come home exhausted, ready to collapse, and walk into a house that looked like a student dorm after a bender. She'd sigh, tie her hair up, and just start cleaning. I'd offer a clumsy, "Sorry, I was going to do that," but my excuse was always the same. My face was buried in my laptop, obsessively tracking stocks and crypto. "I'm building our future, Soph," I'd say, pointing at some incomprehensible chart. This is how we get ahead. We buy a house, we invest, we win. In my head, I was the provider, the visionary. In reality, I was a passenger. She was the one paying half the bills, times and times doing all the work. We did buy the house, a huge milestone that felt more like her achievement than ours. We just lodged the de facto visa application, tying our lives together with government-stamped paperwork. I was her sponsor. Her future in Australia was legally tethered to me. The pressure was immense, but I was too busy staring at spreadsheets to really feel it. The strain bled into every corner of our life, especially the bedroom. It became a dead zone. For over a year, nothing. I'd try to initiate to bridge the growing chasm between us. I'd buy condoms trying to be responsible, and she'd have a sudden headache. Or the box would mysteriously disappear from the bedside table, only to turn up in the back of a bathroom cabinet a week later. She'd find any reason to start a fight right as we were getting into bed. It was sabotage, plain and simple. An active, methodical dismantling of our intimacy. I just couldn't see it for what it was. I thought I was the problem. If I could just make more money, secure our future, then she'd relax. Then she'd want me again. I was so wrong. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. She'd just gotten home from her 2-week swing. I'd had a week to get the house in order. I hadn't. The sink was full, dirty clothes were heaped on the laundry chair, and I was on the couch, laptop open, tracking a dip in the market. She didn't yell. It was worse. She just stood in the doorway, her work bag still on her shoulder, and looked at the squalor. Then she looked at me. Her face was hollowed out with exhaustion. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice flat dead. "I come home from 14 days of hell in the desert to this. To a second job." She gestured around the room. "I feel like I'm living with a child." You know what you are, Andrew. You're a dropkick. Asterisk, dropkick, asterisk. The word hit me like a physical blow. A useless, hopeless idiot. She was right. In that instant, something inside me snapped. It was a full system reboot. The fog of my financial obsessions evaporated, and I saw myself through her eyes. I saw the lazy, selfish boy she was shackled to. I closed the laptop. "You're right," I said. It was all I could manage. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning I started. I scrubbed the kitchen until my knuckles were raw. I cleaned the bathroom, did 3 loads of laundry, and vacuumed the entire house. I downloaded recipes and started cooking proper meals. I detailed her car. I mowed the lawns. I became a machine of domestic competence. I was determined to prove her wrong, to become the man she deserved. I kept it up. For months. The house was spotless. Dinner was on the table when she got home from her local shifts. I took on all the mental load, managed the bills, planned our weekends. I had transformed. I was finally the partner I should have been all along. And the strangest thing happened. It got worse. She became more distant than ever. My efforts were met with a polite, "That's nice," or a non-committal shrug. The wall between us grew higher, thicker. She stopped looking me in the eye. When I'd lean in to kiss her, she'd turn her head at the last second, offering me her cheek like I was a distant uncle. Every touch was deflected. Every attempt at a real conversation was shut down with, "I'm just tired." I was going insane. I'd done everything she wanted. I'd changed completely. What else was there? I lay awake at night, my mind racing. Asterisk. What am I doing wrong? What more can I possibly do? Times I felt like I was trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it, pouring all my energy and love into a relationship that was draining away for reasons I couldn't comprehend. I was more alone lying next to her than I had ever been in my life. This afternoon, I decided to deep clean her home office. It was the one space I'd neglected. A surprise for when she got home. I dusted the shelves, organized her paperwork, and wiped down her desk. Her laptop was sitting there closed. I just needed to move it to clean underneath. As I picked it up, the screen flickered to life. It must not have been fully shut down. And there it was. A chat window was open on the screen. A message from a guy named Marco. The last message, sent just 20 minutes ago, was a single line that made the blood drain from my face. Counting the seconds until you're back on site. Last swing was epic. He has no idea, does he? My heart hammered against my ribs. I clicked on the window, and I started to scroll up. Months of it. Explicit, detailed, obscene messages. Photos, plans. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a full-blown affair with some younger guy from the mine. I scrolled back, my hands shaking, trying to pinpoint when it started. And then I saw it. The date on the first flirtatious messages. It was the week after she called me a dropkick. The week I started changing. She hadn't been falling out of love with me as I transformed into a better man. She had already left. I just sat there in her stupidly clean office staring at the screen. The words blurred through the tears welling in my eyes. The irony was a stake through the chest. She didn't cheat on the useless, immature kid. She cheated on the man she supposedly always wanted me to be. Then I heard it. The sound of her car crunching gravel in the driveway. The engine cut out. The car door slammed shut. Her footsteps were coming up the path. The front door opened and closed. "Andrew, I'm home," she called out, her voice laced with that fake cheerful tone she'd been using for months. I didn't move from the chair. I just listened to her footsteps on the hardwood floor, the rustle of her bag being dropped on the couch. Silence. She must have noticed the house was unusually quiet. "Andrew," she said again, her voice closer now. She appeared in the office doorway. Her smile was already in place, but it faltered when she saw me, saw the laptop open on her desk, saw the expression on my face. Her eyes flicked from me to the screen and back again. The color drained from her cheeks. I didn't raise my voice. I kept it low, steady. "Who's Marco?" She didn't even try to lie. She just stared at me, her mouth a thin line. Her silence was the only confession I needed. "I asked you a question, Sophia." "He's a guy from work," she mumbled, looking at the floor. "A guy from work," I repeated the words, tasting like acid. "The guy from work whose epic last swing you're still thinking about. The guy from work you've been sending photos to. The guy from work you've been fucking for months." She flinched at the word, but her face hardened, a mask of defiance clicking into place. "It's not what you think." "Oh, I think it is," I said, standing up slowly. The screen cast a pale blue light on her guilty face. "I think you're a liar and a cheat. The only question I have is why?" "We'd grown apart," she said, her voice cold, clinical. "I fell out of love with you, Andrew." The sheer breathtaking audacity of it stole my breath. "You fell out of love with me," I said, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. I pointed a shaking finger toward the living room. When? When I was that dropkick? Who left his dishes in the sink? When I was glued to my laptop, ignoring you? No. That's not when it started, was it? I gestured back at the screen. It started the week after you called me out. The week I started cleaning this house, cooking your meals, trying to be the man you supposedly wanted. I stepped closer, invading her space. You didn't cheat on the lazy kid. You cheated on the man who was trying his damn best for you. For times us, asterisk. You had your affair while I was scrubbing your fucking toilet. So don't you dare stand there and tell me you fell out of love. You're just a coward. Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of anger, of being caught. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I snapped. Pack your things. I want you out. Tonight. You can't do that. The house, my visa. A switch flipped inside me. The grief was still there, a hot rock in my gut, but a cold, clear certainty settled over it. The house is half mine. You can have your share when we sell. And the visa, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket, is sponsored by me. Your de facto partner. Funny thing about that we're not a de facto couple anymore, are we? Lying on a government form is fraud, Sophia. And I'm not going to commit fraud for you. Her face went pale with panic. Andrew, please, don't. You'll ruin my life. You ruined ours, I said, turning my back on her. I walked into the living room and found the number for our immigration agent. She followed me, pleading, arguing, but it was just noise. I left a blunt voicemail. Hi, it's Andrew. I'm calling to inform you that Sophia and I have separated. I am formally withdrawing my sponsorship for her partner visa effective immediately. Please send me whatever paperwork I need to sign. I hung up. She was staring at me, her mouth open in disbelief. Get out of my house, I said. The next few weeks were a blur of cold logistics. Lawyers, real estate agents, bank meetings. We communicated only through text messages and emails, sterile and to the point. I had my parents co-sign a loan to buy out her half of the house. I wanted her name off the title and out of my life as quickly as possible. Signing those final papers, handing over a bank check for her share of our life together felt like an exorcism. Once she was gone, she started trying to crawl back in. Not with apologies, but with small, pathetic gestures. A text with a photo of a dog that looked like one we saw once. Thinking of you, it read. I blocked her number. She sent an email a week later. Just wanted to see if you got that package I left. I went to the porch. A box with a new espresso machine, the brand I'd been wanting. I left it on the curb. She tried dropping off a meal prep container of my favorite lasagna at my parents' place. My mom met her at the door and told her politely but firmly to never come back. Each attempt was a transparent, self-serving bid for absolution or worse, a ploy to get me to reconsider the visa. She didn't miss me. She missed the life, the security I provided, the convenience of me. I fell apart for a while. I moved back in with my parents, the prodigal dropkick returning home. I couldn't stand being in the house where every room held a memory that was now tainted. For 2 months, I barely functioned. I grieved the woman I thought she was, and I grieved the man I had been the fool who couldn't see what was right in front of him. But slowly I started putting the pieces back together. I rented out my house, letting the tenants pay down the mortgage I'd fought to keep. I started going to the gym again. I focused on my work, on my investments, but this time with a sense of purpose, not obsession. It wasn't for us anymore. It was for me. About 6 months after the split, I got a message from a mutual friend. A screenshot from Sophia's Instagram. A picture of her and Marco smiling with the caption, "Permanent resident, celebrating the next chapter in Australia, with my love." I stared at the picture. I felt nothing. No anger, no jealousy, no pain. I didn't know how she'd managed it, a new sponsor, some other loophole, and I found I didn't care. Her life was no longer my concern. The knot of betrayal in my stomach, the one I'd been carrying for months, had finally dissolved. I put my phone down and looked out the window. The sun was setting. I had my own life to build. I realized she'd given me a gift in her betrayal. She'd shown me her true colors. Her love had been a transaction, and when she found a better deal, she took it. Her calling me a dropkick wasn't a wake-up call for me to be a better partner for her. It was just her excuse to check out. I had changed for her, but now I was changing for myself. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt free.
Story 9.
My phone buzzed on the coffee table, a quick, insistent vibration. Alex and I were in the middle of our weekly ritual, a soul-crushing session of some fantasy video game where we were both getting annihilated. He grunted, mashing his controller. I glanced at the screen. A new group chat. You were added to Alex's Surprise 25th. I blinked. My first thought wasn't anger. It was just confusion. Asterisk, our times 25th was a week away. We always did something together. Dinner with our parents, then a big messy night out at a dive bar with all our friends. It was tradition. Simple. Shared. "What's up, Alex?" asked, not looking away from the dragon, currently incinerating his character. Nothing I said, picking up the phone. Just spam. I opened the chat. It was a flurry of messages. The organizer, Chloe, a friend of Alex's from his art class, had already laid out the entire plan. Asterisk, asterisk, Chloe, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Hey everyone, so as you know, our favorite guy, Alex, is turning the big 2 to 5 next Saturday. I want to do a surprise dinner for him at the Grove to show him how much we all love him. Please, RSVP by Wednesday so I can get a final head count. And remember, SHHHHHH. It's a secret from the birthday boy asterisk. Asterisk. Our favorite guy, asterisk. Him. My thumb scrolled up a knot tightening in my stomach. I saw the list of participants. Mark, Dave, Liam, all our friends since high school. Then I saw another name that made my blood run cold. Maya. They had added my girlfriend. My girlfriend of 3 years was in a group chat for my birthday and I wasn't. I kept scrolling past a dozen I'm in, messages and clapping emojis. Right at the bottom, just above the message that notified me I'd been added, was Chloe's afterthought. Asterisk, asterisk, Chloe, asterisk, 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 oh, and I'll add Sam. Obvi, he can come too. Asterisk. Obvi. Like I was a goddamn accessory. A+1 to my own twin brother's birthday party. The party that was also supposed to be times my times party. I put the phone down, my hands suddenly clammy. The sounds of the game explosions, Alex cursing, faded into a dull roar in my ears. 24 years, we'd shared everything. The same room, the same car, the same friends. The same goddamn face. The same birthday. We weren't just brothers. We were a package deal, Sam and Alex. It was one word to most people. I picked the phone back up and sent a text to Maya, my fingers trembling slightly. asterisk, asterisk, me, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. You see this group chat asterisk? Her reply was instantaneous. Asterisk, asterisk, Maya, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I was waiting for you to text me. I am so fucking pissed for you, Sam. What is she doing, asterisk? Validation. A small, precious wave of it washed over me. I wasn't crazy. Asterisk, asterisk, me, asterisk, 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 I don't know. Invited as a guest to my own birthday. A new low. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, Maya, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It's not just that. It's the whole for him thing. Like you don't exist. Don't let her do this. Asterisk. Back in the group chat, the conversation was still rolling. Our friend Mark, always the diplomat, threw a life raft. Asterisk, asterisk, Mark, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Awesome idea, Chloe. So this is for both of them, right? Table for the whole crew, plus the 2 birthday boys. Asterisk. I held my breath, watching the 3 little dots appear and disappear as Chloe typed her response. It felt like an eternity. Asterisk, asterisk, Chloe. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. This is just a special thing a few of us wanted to do for Alex. But of course, Sam is more than welcome to come celebrate with us. The more the merrier. Asterisk. The smiley face felt like a punch in the gut. She'd managed to make it sound like Mark was the one being weird. She painted me as an add-on, a bonus guest. If I came, I was crashing Alex's special night. If I didn't, I was the bitter antisocial twin who couldn't be happy for his brother. She had me in a goddamn checkmate. Dude, you alive over there, Alex said, finally pausing the game. You look like you saw a ghost. Just got a weird work email, I lied, forcing a smile. All good. I couldn't tell him. The whole point was that it was a surprise. A surprise that was methodically and meticulously erasing me from my own life. I felt a hot surge of anger followed by a cold, hollowing sense of hurt. All our friends were in there. They saw the messages. They saw how Chloe was framing it. And they were all still RSVPing yes. Dave. Liam. Guys I'd known since we were 5. Did none of them think this was bizarre? Did they not care? Maya and I texted back and forth for the next hour. She was furious, calling Chloe every name in the book. It helped. It made me feel less alone in this Twilight Zone episode. This is a power play, Maya texted. She's always been weirdly possessive of Alex. I knew she was right. Chloe had a habit of acting like she was his best friend, his sister, his everything all rolled into one. She'd sideline me in conversations, make inside jokes with him that pointedly excluded me. I'd always just brushed it off as insecurity. But this was different. This was a declaration. I decided I had to do something. I couldn't let her win. I couldn't just not show up. That would only create a different kind of drama, one where Alex was caught in the middle and I looked like a jealous jerk. I would be the bigger person. I'd go, I'd smile, I'd toast my brother, and I'd let the sheer awkwardness of the situation speak for itself. Taking a deep breath, I opened the group chat again. The conversation had died down. It was my turn to play the game. Asterisk, asterisk, me. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Hey Chloe, thanks for organizing. Looks great. Maya and I are in. Just confirming we've got 2 spots. Asterisk. I hit send. It felt both mature and deeply humiliating. Having to ask for a seat at my own birthday dinner. I watched the screen, my heart pounding, a nervous rhythm against my ribs. A minute passed. 2. Then the dots. Chloe was typing. This was it. She'd say, of course, and the weirdness would be over, at least for now. We'd go be uncomfortable and we'd deal with the fallout later. The message popped up in the chat, visible to all 22 members. Asterisk, asterisk, Chloe, asterisk, 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 OMG, hey Sam. So great, you guys can make it. I actually just got off the phone with the Grove to give them the final head count, and the table is completely maxed out. They're totally slammed. Saturday? So, sorry about that. Maybe you and Maya can stop by the bar for a drink after dinner and catch us then. My bad, asterisk. The air left my lungs. My bad. A 2-word apology capped with a cringe emoji for erasing my existence. It was so brazen, so dismissively cruel, I almost had to laugh. The chat was silent. 22 people had just watched me get uninvited for my own birthday, and not one of them said a word. My phone buzzed with a private text from Maya. Asterisk, asterisk, Maya, asterisk, 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 do not fucking go, Sam. Do not go to that bar. That is an order. Asterisk. A second later, another text. Asterisk, asterisk, Maya, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. That is the rudest thing I have ever seen. I'm coming over to asterisk. The front door opened and closed 10 minutes later. She didn't say anything, just walked into the living room, took the controller from my hand, and pulled me into a hug. Alex was still in his room oblivious on a call with his art class TA. Okay, she said, pulling back, her eyes flashing. Here's what we are not going to do. We are not going to stop by for a drink. We are not going to legitimize this bullshit by playing the part of the happy, gracious afterthought. We are going to let her have her little party for Alex, and we are going to let your absence be a giant gaping hole in the middle of it. A few texts trickled in from my friends. Asterisk, asterisk. Mark asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Dude. That's messed up. Asterisk. Asterisk. Asterisk, Dave. Asterisk. 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 WTF. Was that asterisk? They saw it. They knew. But they were still going. That was the part that stung the most. Their discomfort wasn't enough to make them take a stand. It just made me feel more alone. What do I do? I asked Maya, my voice hollow. If I don't go, Alex will be hurt. He won't understand. He'll understand when you show him the receipt, she said, her voice firm. He's your twin. He'll be more pissed off than you are. You have to trust him. She was right. My loyalty was to Alex, not to Chloe's pathetic social climbing. My loyalty was to myself. I picked up my phone, my resolve hardening into steel. I didn't reply in the group chat. I didn't give Chloe the satisfaction. I just left the group. Then I booked 2 tickets for the new sci-fi blockbuster for Saturday night, the same time as the dinner. We're going to the movies, I told Maya, showing her the confirmation email. We're getting the biggest popcorn they sell, and we're going to turn our phones off. The next afternoon, the apartment was quiet. Alex was sketching at the kitchen table, a mountain of shredded gift wrap on the floor beside him. He looked up when I walked in, a sheepish grin on his face. Hey. Sorry about last night, man. It was a lot. Chloe's crazy. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. I sat down across from him. We need to talk about that. I know, I feel bad. I told her we always do our birthday together. She said you were busy with a work thing and couldn't make dinner, but that you were going to try and come for drinks. My blood ran ice cold. She said, what? That you had a work deadline. That's what she told everyone who asked where you were. I figured it must have been a last-minute thing. I just stared at him. The lie was so clean, so simple. It painted me as the absent, career-focused brother, and her as the thoughtful friend who tried to include me. Without a word, I took out my phone. I opened my texts, found the screenshots, Maya had insisted I take of the group chat and slid the phone across the table to him. He picked it up, a confused frown on his face. I watched him read. I saw his eyes scan over the initial invitation for Times, him, asterisk. I saw them linger on Mark's question and Chloe's dismissive response. I saw his knuckles turn white as he read the final exchange, the one where I was told the table was full, where Chloe said Times. My bad, asterisk. He looked up from the phone, and for the first time in my life, I saw pure, unadulterated fury in my brother's eyes. It wasn't directed at me. It was for me. What the hell is this? He said, his voice dangerously low. That's what Chloe planned, I said quietly. That's why I wasn't there. She told everyone that you just couldn't make it. He shoved the phone back across the table, shaking his head in disbelief. That is the most rude, manipulative, stupid thing I have ever seen. A guest, no room. Is she insane? The relief that washed over me was so total it almost buckled my knees. He got it. He didn't hesitate, didn't try to defend her. He was with me. I didn't want to ruin your surprise, I said. Sam, this Times was Times, the surprise. He stood up and started pacing the kitchen. I can't believe Mark and Dave and the guys went along with this. They texted me. They felt weird about it, I offered. Weird about it, he scoffed. They should have walked out. I would have walked out. He stopped pacing and looked at me, the anger in his eyes softening into something else. Hurt. Regret. I'm so sorry, man. I swear I had no idea. I know, I said. And I did. The fallout was swift. Alex must have made some calls because my phone lit up. Mark called first, apologizing profusely. We should have said something in the chat, man. We're idiots. Let us make it up to you. Joint birthday bash this weekend, our treat. For both of you. The Times, Real Times birthday. 2 weeks later, we were at a crowded house party. The new official Sam and Alex birthday had been a blast, just our core friends, a cheap bar, and a lot of laughs. It felt right. Alex hadn't spoken to Chloe since our conversation, just sent her a curt text saying what she did was unacceptable. I was standing with Maya and Alex by the keg when the front door opened. In walked Chloe. She hadn't been invited. Her eyes scanned the room, landing on our group. She smirked, said a loud hello to someone across the room, and then made a show of walking right past us, pointedly ignoring me and Maya as if we were pieces of furniture. She beelined for a vacant armchair a few feet away from our circle, expecting, I guess, for Alex to follow her. He didn't move. He took a sip of his beer, his eyes fixed on me. Chloe sat there alone, the silence stretching. She kept glancing over her smile, looking more and more strained. Maya leaned into me, whispering loud enough for Alex to hear. Wow. She's being really witchy, isn't she? Alex glanced at Chloe, then back at us. A small, definitive smile touched his lips. Yeah, he agreed, turning his back to her completely. She is.
Story Teen.
My phone buzzed against the cracked laminate of my nightstand. I let it vibrate a second time before rolling over to look. It was my mother. Asterisk, asterisk, mom, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Hi, Leo. Your father and I would love to take you to dinner on Saturday. Just the three of us. We have a lot to talk about. A real heart-to-heart asterisk. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. A heart-to-heart. We hadn't had one of those in 20 years. Unless you counted the screaming match that ended with my duffel bag hitting the front lawn 2 years ago. For the last 6 months, they'd been trying. A text on my birthday. A stilted phone call on Thanksgiving where Dad mostly talked about the stock market. Apologies had been muttered vague and weightless things, like we could have handled things better. I never knew how to respond, so I'd just say, "It's fine." It was easier than saying, "You broke something and I don't know how to fix it." My apartment was a shoebox over a laundromat that always smelled like burnt fabric softener. I worked 40 hours a week, stocking shelves at a grocery store, and took online classes when I could afford them. I was tired. Deep in my bones, tired. And a small, stupid part of me, the part that still remembered being a kid who thought his dad was a hero, whispered that maybe this was it. Maybe this dinner was the real apology. The one that mattered. Asterisk, asterisk, me. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. What time asterisk? The reply was instant. Asterisk, asterisk, Mom, asterisk, 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 7 p.m. The Oak Room at the Atherton Hotel. Your father is handling the reservation. Wear something nice, asterisk. Something nice. I owned one collared shirt that wasn't part of a work uniform. I guess that would have to do. Saturday came faster than I expected. I ironed the shirt, dug out a pair of dark jeans that were only slightly faded, and took the bus downtown. The Atherton Hotel wasn't just nice. It was the kind of place where the valets don't even look at you if your car is more than 3 years old. I walked past them and through the revolving glass doors, feeling like an imposter. The lobby was marble in hushed tones, but as I got closer to the Oak Room, a wall of sound hit me. It wasn't the quiet clinking of cutlery I'd expected. It was a roar. 100 voices shouting over each other, punctuated by bursts of deep, booming laughter. I pushed open one of the heavy oak doors and froze. It wasn't a table for 3. It was a ballroom. A sea of men in their late 40s, all wearing navy blue blazers and identical red ties, slapped each other on the back and bellowed names across the room. A massive banner hung over the bar, strung up between 2 potted ferns. In huge gold letters it read, Omega Delta Phi. 25 years of brotherhood. This wasn't a reconciliation dinner. It was a frat party for middle-aged men. My blood went cold. I felt the familiar sinking feeling of being an afterthought, a piece of furniture they'd forgotten about until they needed it. I started to back out, to just turn around and melt back into the night, but a hand clamped down on my shoulder. Leo? You made it. My father. His smile was wide and brilliant, but it didn't reach his eyes. His eyes were scanning the room, already looking for his next audience. He pulled me into a one-armed hug that was more of a hostage situation, his hand gripping my bicep like a vice. Dad, what is this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper over the din. He steered me away from the door into a small alcove near the coat check. His smile vanished the second we were out of the main line of sight. The friendly mask dropped, replaced by the hard, impatient man I knew. It's my reunion, he said, straightening his tie. I told your mother to invite you. It's important. You said it was a family dinner. To talk. He waved a dismissive hand. We can talk later. Tonight is about reconnecting. These men, Leo, these are my brothers. I've known them longer than I've known you. Their opinions matter. He leaned in his voice, dropping to a low, urgent command. You're my son. You're in your second year of business school at the university, and you're doing great. You understand. I stared at him. I wasn't in business school. I was a part-time community college student stocking produce. Dad. Don't he cut me off, his eyes like steel. Do not embarrass me tonight. You smile, you shake hands, and you play the part. We are a happy, successful family. Got it. I didn't answer. I just felt a deep, hollow ache spread through my chest. I wasn't a son he wanted to reconcile with. I was a prop. A shiny new accessory to show off to his friends, proof that Richard Marlowe had it all, including the perfect family. He didn't wait for a response. He clapped me on the shoulder again, the plastic smile snapping back into place as he turned to face the room. Good. Now come on, let me introduce you to some people. For the next hour, I was a ghost. He paraded me around the room, his hand a permanent fixture on the back of my neck, steering me from one conversation to another. Bill, you remember my son Leo? Dave, this is my boy, headed for Wall Street this one. I'd shake a hand, nod, and force a smile that felt like cracking glass. They'd look at me, but they'd see him. They saw his legacy, his success, his perfect son. They didn't see the kid who learned to cook for himself at 12 because no one else was home. They didn't see the 18-year-old stuffing his life into a backpack on the front porch. They saw the lie and they loved it. My mother floated on the periphery, laughing with the other wives, occasionally glancing over at me with a look of strained pleading encouragement. Asterisk. Just get through this times, her eyes seemed to say. Asterisk. Don't make a scene. Asterisk. Eventually, my father got pulled into a story about some legendary prank from '98, and his grip on my neck finally loosened. I slipped away, making a beeline for the bar to get a glass of water, anything to wash the taste of hypocrisy out of my mouth. As I stood there trying to catch my breath, a group of people my age drifted over. They were clean-cut, confident, draped in casual but expensive clothes. The children of the Omega Deltas. You're Richard Marlowe's kid, right? A guy with a perfect jawline asked. Leo, I said. Cool. I'm Josh. My dad's Tom, he said, gesturing to a loud man chugging a beer across the room. This is Amber and Kevin. We exchanged limp hellos. They started chatting about summer internships at their dad's firms, ski trips to Aspen, and the new cars their parents had bought them. I just stood there, a visitor from another planet. Amber, a blonde girl with kind eyes, seemed to notice my silence. She turned to me, offering a genuine smile, trying to pull me into the conversation. Our parents are all trying to one-up each other, she said with a light laugh. They went all out for our 18th birthdays. My dad got me a BMW. Josh's dad paid for a trip to Europe. She looked at me, her expression open and curious. What about you? What'd your parents get you for your 18th? The question hung in the air, a perfectly innocent landmine. I saw my father across the room laughing with his hand on some guy's shoulder, the picture of success. Asterisk. You're in business school. You're doing great. Don't embarrass me. Asterisk. His words echoed in my head. This was my chance to be the son he wanted just for a night. I could lie. I could make something up. A used car. A trust fund. Something plausible, something that would keep the gears of this grand illusion turning smoothly. I saw my mother watching our little group, a tight, nervous smile plastered on her face. Her eyes were begging me. Asterisk? Play along, Leo. Please. Asterisk. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't loud or violent. It was a quiet, clean break. The part of me that had been holding out hope, the stupid, childish part that thought this dinner could fix things, just withered and died. I looked at Amber, her smile still open and waiting. I kept my voice perfectly level, almost conversational. I got kicked out. The three of them stared at me. The background roar of the party seemed to fade into a dull hum. Josh blinked. What? Like as a joke? Your dad kicked you out of the house for your birthday. He tried to laugh, but it came out as a strangled cough. No, I said, my gaze unwavering. Not as a joke. On my 18th birthday, my present was my dad telling me to pack a bag and get off his property. The silence that followed was absolute. It was a dense, heavy thing that sucked all the air out of our little circle. Amber's smile vanished, replaced by a look of wide-eyed horror. Kevin suddenly found the scuff on his Italian leather shoes fascinating. Josh's jaw, which had seemed so perfect a minute ago, was just hanging open. Oh, Amber said, her voice a tiny whisper. I'm sorry. Don't be, I said, taking a sip of the water I'd been holding. It tasted like freedom. It saved me a lot of money on rent. I set the glass down on the bar, the clink loud in the sudden quiet between us. I gave them a small, tight nod and walked away, leaving them frozen in a tableau of rich kid awkwardness. I didn't go far. I found a spot near a potted fern and just watched. It didn't take long. I saw Amber lean over and whisper something to her mother. The mother's eyes widened and shot straight to my father. Then she turned and whispered to the woman next to her. It was like a virus. A quiet, vicious little contagion spreading through the room. A murmur here, a pointed glance there. The booming laughter around my father started to sound strained. One of his brothers clapped him on the shoulder, said something brief, and then walked away with a look that was anything but brotherly. Another man who had been listening intently to one of my father's stories suddenly remembered he needed another drink. My father felt the shift. I watched him scan the room, his smile faltering as he tried to figure out why the temperature had just dropped 20 degrees. His eyes darted around, searching for the source of the problem. And then they found me. Standing by the fern, I met his gaze from across the ballroom. He didn't have to ask. He knew. The mask of the proud father and successful alumnus melted away, and for a split second I saw the man who had thrown my bag onto the lawn. I saw pure, undiluted rage. It was a look that promised consequences. My mother caught his eye, then looked at me, her face pale with panic. She started to walk towards me, but I didn't give her the chance. I'd done what I came here to do, even if I hadn't known it an hour ago. I was done being a prop. I turned, walked past the coat check, and pushed through the heavy oak doors back into the quiet marbled lobby. The noise of the party was cut off behind me. I didn't look back. I walked straight out of the revolving doors, past the valets who still wouldn't look at me, and into the cool night air. The bus ride home felt longer than usual. The smell of burnt fabric softener from the laundromat had never been so welcoming. I was in the middle of making a sad instant ramen dinner when my phone started buzzing. It was a text from my father. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. What did you do, asterisk? I ignored it. The water wasn't boiling yet. A minute later, it buzzed again. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Answer me. Bill just asked me if I was having family problems. What the hell did you say, asterisk? I dumped the noodles into the pot. Another buzz. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad, asterisk, 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 you little bastard. You did this on purpose. 25 years of friendship, and you embarrassed me in front of every single one of them. Asterisk. I stirred the noodles with a fork. My phone buzzed again and again. It was a frantic, furious rhythm against the countertop. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad, asterisk, 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 this is what you do. After we try to bring you back in, after everything we did for you, this is the thanks we get. You're ungrateful. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I hope you're happy. You've ruined it. You've ruined everything. Don't ever contact us again. Asterisk. 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 Dad. Asterisk. 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 You're dead to me. Asterisk. The text stopped. The little apartment was silent except for the bubbling of the pot on the stove. I read the last message again. Asterisk. You're dead to me. Asterisk. He'd screamed the same thing at me 2 years ago. Nothing had changed. There was never going to be a real apology, never going to be a heart-to-heart. He wasn't sorry he'd kicked me out. He was just sorry people knew. I drained the noodles, dumped them in a bowl, and tore open the flavor packet. Sitting on my lumpy couch, I scrolled back through the messages. The fragile bridge we had spent the last 6 months building was a pile of ash. He'd burned it down without a second thought. All because his image had been tarnished. I ate the salty noodles in the quiet of my shoebox. For the first time in 2 years, I had told the truth. I had stood up for the kid on the porch with his life in a backpack. The victory felt clean and sharp. But as I sat there alone in the flickering light of a street lamp outside my window, a cold question settled in my gut. Was it worth it?
Story 11.
The phone felt hot against my ear. Leo, for the last time, the answer is no. Come on, Keith. It's one night my brother's voice crackled with that familiar wheedling tone he gets when he wants something. Just one. It's my first date since Sarah. You know, he didn't have to say it. Of course I knew. It had been 2 years since his wife died, 2 years of him navigating single fatherhood on a shoestring budget while I watched from a safe child-free distance. I loved my brother and I adored my niece Maya in that abstract way you can adore a small human you only have to see at Christmas and on her birthday. But that didn't make me a babysitter. I get that I do, I said, pacing my small living room. And I'm happy for you. Really. But I'm not the guy for this. Who is then? You think I can just pull $50 out of my ass for some stranger to watch my kid I just paid rent, man? I'm eating ramen for the rest of the month. The guilt trip. It was his go-to weapon. That's not my fault, Leo. I'm not saying it is, he shot back, his voice rising. I'm saying I need my brother. My only brother. For 3 damn hours. Is that too much to ask? I just want to feel like a normal person for one night. To sit across from a woman and not have to cut up her chicken nuggets. I stopped pacing and sank onto the arm of my couch. I don't know how to do it. I've never watched a kid before. What if she chokes on something? What if she falls and cracks her head open? I don't know her schedule, what she eats, what she's allergic to. She's 4, Keith, not a goddamn porcelain doll. Her schedule is play, eat, and go to bed. She's not allergic to anything. You put on Times, Bluey Times, give her some goldfish, and you're golden. This isn't rocket science. It is to me. I insisted, my own voice getting tight. It's a huge responsibility, and it's not one I'm comfortable with. It's a boundary for me, Leo. I'm sorry. There was a long, loaded silence on the other end of the line. I could picture him perfectly standing in his cluttered kitchen phone pressed to his ear, running a hand through his perpetually messy hair. The frustration would be radiating off him in waves. A boundary? He finally said the words, dripping with contempt. Wow. Must be nice. Having boundaries. Some of us don't get that luxury. Some of us have actual responsibilities. This isn't fair, and you know it. No, what's not fair is that I'm completely alone in this, he snapped. And the one time I ask for a little help, my own brother hides behind some bullshit therapy speak. Fine. Forget it. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I always do. He hung up before I could say another word. I stared at the phone, a sour mix of anger and relief churning in my gut. My boyfriend Mark looked up from his laptop. Leo. Who else? I tossed my phone onto the couch. He wanted me to babysit so he could go on a date. That's nice of him, getting back out there. What'd you say? I said no. Mark just nodded, not pushing it. He knew how I felt about kids. It wasn't that I disliked them. I was just terrified of them. They were fragile and unpredictable, and I was a guy who liked order and control. Putting me in charge of a small child was like asking a cat to guard a swimming pool. Pointless and probably dangerous for everyone involved. The fight with Leo was on a Tuesday. The rest of the week was quiet. I figured he'd found someone else, maybe a friend from Maya's preschool, and was giving me the silent treatment. I was fine with that. I needed the space to let my anger cool. Then came Friday. It was just after 7 in the evening. Mark was picking up Thai food, and I was tidying up the apartment, the TV humming in the background. A soft, hesitant knock came at the door. I frowned. Mark had keys. Maybe a package delivery. I pulled the door open, and my entire world screeched to a halt. Standing in the hallway illuminated by the dim overhead light was Maya. She was wearing a pink puffer jacket over her pajamas and clutching a worn, one-eyed stuffed rabbit. Her little purple backpack was slung over her shoulders. She was completely, utterly alone. For a second, I couldn't process it. My brain just refused to connect the dots. I scanned the empty hallway, my heart starting to thud against my ribs like a trapped bird. Maya, honey, where's Daddy? She just looked up at me with those big, solemn brown eyes, Sarah's eyes, and pointed a tiny mittened hand at my door. Daddy said, wait here. He said Uncle Keith will let me in. A wave of cold, sharp fury washed over me, so intense it made my hands shake. I knelt, trying to keep my voice steady. Okay, sweetie, come on inside. It's cold. I ushered her in, my mind racing. This was a joke. It had to be a sick, twisted joke. He was probably hiding down the hall waiting to jump out and call me an asshole for worrying. I shut the door and immediately pulled out my phone, my thumb jabbing at Leo's contact. It rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. I counted each one, a knot of dread tightening in my stomach. On the 10th ring, it went to voicemail. Hey, you've reached Leo. You know what to do. Leo, call me the second you get this, I said, my voice dangerously low. Call me right now. I hung up and helped Maya out of her jacket. Underneath, she was wearing fuzzy unicorn pajamas. Her backpack contained another set of pajamas, a toothbrush, and a well-loved copy of Time's Goodnight Moon asterisk. It was a goddamn overnight bag. I tried calling again. This time it went straight to voicemail. His mailbox was full. Son of a bitch, I whispered, staring at the phone screen. I sent him a text. Asterisk, asterisk. Me, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Where the hell are you, Maya? Is on my doorstep. Asterisk. I watched the screen, my heart pounding. A moment later, the word delivered switched to read. He saw it. He saw my message. And he didn't answer. I stood in the middle of my living room, phone gripped in my hand, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. Maya had wandered over to the bookshelf and was curiously touching the spines of my novels. She looked so small, so impossibly out of place in my sterile adult apartment. He had actually done it. He had taken my Know My Boundary and set it on fire. He hadn't just crossed a line. He had taken his own daughter and thrown her over it, leaving her on my doorstep like a package I never ordered. The rage was back, hotter and sharper this time, and it was screaming for a target. I dialed his number again and again and again. Each time the same result, straight to the indifferent electronic void of his full voicemail. He wasn't going to answer. He had made his move, and now he was waiting for me to make mine. Panic gave way to a cold, hard clarity. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a hostage situation, and my niece was the pawn. I scrolled back to Leo's number and hit the call button. Straight to voicemail, as expected. I took a deep, steadying breath and held the phone to my mouth. Leo, this isn't a game, I said, my voice as level and cold as I could make it. You dumped your daughter on my doorstep. You have 15 minutes to get here and pick her up. 15. After that, I'm calling the police and reporting you for child abandonment. I'm not fucking kidding. The clock starts now. I hung up. My hand was shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Maya looked up at me from the bookshelf. Uncle Keith, I'm hungry. Right? Food. She was a kid. She needed things. Okay, sweetie. Let's see what I've got. I led her into the kitchen, my mind a blank slate. What do 4-year-olds eat? I had cheese, some slightly sad-looking apples, and a box of saltine crackers. It felt like trying to prepare a meal for a tiny, unpredictable alien. I sliced an apple into slivers so thin they were translucent, terrified she'd choke, and arranged them on a plate next to a few crackers. She sat at my small dining table nibbling on a cracker and watching me with an unnerving solemnity. The silence was deafening, broken only by the quiet crunch of the crackers and the frantic ticking of the clock on the wall. 5 minutes passed. 10. The 15-minute mark came and went. I felt a hollow pit open in my stomach. He wasn't coming. He was going to call my bluff. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over the 9. I was actually going to have to do it. Just as I was about to press the number, a furious pounding rattled my front door. It wasn't a knock. It was a demand. Maya jumped, her eyes wide with fear. Stay right here, honey, I said, my voice tight. I swung the door open. Leo stood there, his face a mask of incandescent rage. His hair was a mess, his shirt was rumpled, and he looked like he'd run all the way here. What the hell is wrong with you? He hissed, shoving past me into the apartment. You threatened to call the cops. On your own brother. Get out, I said, my voice dangerously low. Get Maya and get out of my house. He ignored me, his eyes landing on Maya, who was now hiding behind the leg of the dining table. His fury melted just for a second. Hey, monkey. Daddy's here. He turned back to me, the rage flaring again. In front of my daughter, Keith. You make a threat like that. You left her on my doorstep. I roared, finally losing control. You abandoned your child in a hallway because you couldn't handle the word no. What kind of father does that? The kind who's at the end of his fucking rope, he shot back. The kind who just wanted one night to feel human and his own flesh and blood, couldn't be bothered to help. You have no idea what my life is like. And now I'm getting a pretty good picture of it, I retorted. Get her coat. We're not doing this here. You are leaving. You don't get to give me orders. In my house, I do. Get her things. Now. He glared at me, a silent war waging between us. Finally, with a sound of pure disgust, he stalked over to the coat rack, snatched Maya's pink puffer jacket, and roughly grabbed her backpack. He knelt and started stuffing her small arms into the sleeves, his movements jerky with anger. Maya started to cry, soft, hiccuping sobs. The sound broke me. For God's sake, Leo, look what you're doing. I pleaded, my voice cracking. He scooped her up, her face buried in his shoulder. Don't you dare, he spat, pointing a finger at me. Don't you dare pretend you care. You just wanted her gone. You made that perfectly clear. He turned and stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame on the wall tilted sideways. The sudden absolute silence was suffocating. I stood there for a full minute, my heart hammering against my ribs, before I slowly walked over and locked the deadbolt. Just as the adrenaline began to fade, the front door opened again. It was Mark holding a bag of Thai food, a confused smile on his face. Hey, what was all the yelling? I saw Leo tear out of here like his car was on fire. The story came tumbling out of me, the knock, Maya alone, the overnight bag, the ignored calls, the threat, the fight. I expected sympathy. I expected him to be on my side. Mark just sighed, setting the food on the counter. Jesus, Keith. Why didn't you just call me? We could have handled it. Handled what he abandoned her here. Okay. But he was probably just around the corner, Mark said, starting to unpack the containers of noodles. He was trying to make a point. It was a dick move, yeah, but threatening to call the cops, couldn't we have just watched her? For one night, it would have been a hell of a lot easier than all this drama. I stared at him dumbfounded. Easier, Mark, you don't reward that kind of behavior. You don't let someone use their kid as a weapon and just say, okay, you win. I'm not saying he won, he said, avoiding my eyes. I'm just saying maybe there was a less nuclear option. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from Leo. Asterisk, asterisk, Leo, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I can't believe you're dead to me. Asterisk. Another one came in right behind it. Asterisk, asterisk, Leo, asterisk, 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 she cried the whole way home. Said Uncle Keith was scary and yelled at Daddy. I hope you're proud of yourself, asterisk. My stomach twisted. Mark glanced at the screen. See, this is what I'm talking about. Now it's a whole thing. I felt a profound sense of isolation wash over me. I looked at Mark, my partner, who saw this as an inconvenience to be managed. I looked at my phone where my brother was painting me as a monster. The phone buzzed again. And again. A relentless assault. Asterisk, asterisk, Leo. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. You've always looked down on me. Always thought you were better. Now you see my daughter as just some burden you can't be bothered with. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, Leo. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. It was one night. My first chance at intimacy, at feeling like a man instead of just a widowed dad in 2 years. And you couldn't let me have it. You had to destroy it. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Leo, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. You're a failure. As a brother and as an uncle, Sarah would be so disgusted with you. Asterisk. That last one hit like a physical blow. I sank onto a bar stool, the air knocked out of me. Mark put a hand on my shoulder. Just turn it off, Keith. He'll cool down. But I knew he wouldn't. This wasn't something that would blow over. This was a fracture deep and permanent. I was the villain of his story now. The cold, unfeeling brother who valued his pristine, child-free life over his family's desperation. Mark was right about one thing. There had been a less nuclear option. I could have rolled over. I could have let Leo walk all over my boundary, use his daughter as emotional blackmail, and accepted it. That would have been times easier, asterisk. I pushed my phone away. The screen still lighting up with Leo's poison. The rage was gone, replaced by something cold and hard and heavy in my chest. He thought I saw Maya as a burden. He was wrong. The burden was him. It had always been him. And as I sat there isolated in my own kitchen, a single clear thought cut through the noise. He wanted me to feel guilty. He wanted me to break. He wanted me to learn my lesson. Fine. I would. But it wouldn't be the one he was trying to teach. My lesson was that setting a boundary wasn't enough. You had to build a fortress. And from now on, my walls were going to be so high he'd never be able to hurt me or manipulate me again. This wasn't just a fight. This was an ending. And in a way, that was my revenge. Quiet. Total. Complete.